Chapter 1068. The entire audience was silent. It wasn't that they didn't want to make a sound, but they didn't dare to make a sound. Everyone was shocked as they looked at the scene on the stage, not even daring to breathe. Their eyes were filled with shock and fear. Lu Yi versus the black-cloaked man. That chef's challenge, which he had staked everything on, had completely exceeded everyone's expectations. Originally, they thought that Lu Yi would crush this black-cloaked man like a demon, but the result completely overturned their thoughts. They had guessed the ending correctly, but they had chosen the wrong opponent. The one who was crushed was not the black-cloaked man, but Lu Yi. Under the influence of the black-cloaked man's heart of cooking path and knife skills, Lu Yi couldn't even hold his kitchen knife properly. His forehead was covered with sweat as he trembled as he finished the dish. However, when the lightning struck, Lu Yi's dish instantly collapsed. How could a dish cooked without the slightest bit of courage be a match for the incomparably confident black-cloaked man's dish? Compared to the cooking competition with the great demon, Lu Yi felt true despair in this chef's challenge. The more he cooked, the more his heart trembled. He suddenly regretted agreeing to the black-cloaked man's chef's challenge. His brain suddenly felt a little numb. The important thing was, he was the one who proposed the chef's challenge. Just because of a moment of anger, Lu Yi's eyes were unfocused as he looked at his hands, his body constantly trembling. TSK, TSK, TSK. The black-cloaked man held a black kitchen knife in his hand. There were red lines on the kitchen knife, which made it look a little evil. He twirled the kitchen knife in his hand, twirling it in the air. I didn't think that the so-called demon of the fifth layer would actually be so weak, a little weak. The black-cloaked man said. I originally thought that this chef's challenge would be interesting, but it seems like it's not interesting at all. The black-cloaked man shook his head, expressing some regret. Lu Yi's heart was incomparably sullen. He was angry, but he had nowhere to vent it, because the truth was that he had indeed lost. He had been completely crushed and lost. Everyone was silent. They didn't know what to say. Below the stage, some heaven chief suddenly felt a little lucky because the black-cloaked man actually did not choose to challenge them. Otherwise, the ones who would be facing despair would be them. Lu Yi was really a little desperate now. His hands and feet were ice cold, and he seemed to be completely enveloped by despair. He wanted to resist, but the black-robed man was like a nightmare. He floated above his head, causing his limbs to tremble and his body to tremble. Lu Yi wanted to say something. However, the black-robed man slowly walked towards him. On the judging panel, City Lord Mengqi frowned slightly. Realm Lord Dit stared at the black-robed man in bewilderment as a look of interest appeared on his face. This chef's challenge is too cruel. I still like Little Boo Boo's chef's challenge. If he loses a kitchen knife. How gentle. The black-cloaked man's chef's challenge was meant to cut off one's culinary path. If you're willing to bet, you're willing to lose. Do you have anything else to say? The black-robed man raised his hand and placed it on Lu Yi's shoulder. Incomparable fear instantly enveloped Lu Yi, making it extremely difficult for him to even breathe. He had lost the chef's challenge, and he couldn't afford the price. Can you be lenient? Lu Yi clenched his teeth, deep vexation and remorse surging in his eyes. He shouldn't have participated in the chef's challenge. He regretted it. TSK, TSK. Are you begging for mercy? The black-robed man seemed to be interested. Can I? Lu Yi seemed to hear that the black-robed man's tone was a little relaxed. Suddenly, there was a look of hope in his eyes. Of course, it's not impossible to be lenient. But what benefits do I get? The black-robed man said. I could be your apprentice chef. Lu Yi was practically clenching his teeth as he said this sentence. Those words sucked away all his pride. The black-robed man was stunned. Everyone present was slightly taken aback. Lu Yi's apprentice chef? Hiss! Everyone present sucked in a breath of cold air. However, this might be much better than not touching cooking for 10 years. However, the black-robed man laughed. Be my apprentice chef? You're not qualified. If it's Ownerboo, then it's more like it. Forget it. Lu Yi's hopeful gaze froze. The black-robed man, who was laughing mockingly, gently stretched out his palm and placed it on Lu Yi's chest. Thump, 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 the sound of a heartbeat rang out. The hope on Lu Yi's face completely froze. Boom! Everyone's eyes shrank, because they saw that behind the black-robed man, there seemed to be a ferocious giant beast emerging. That giant beast was greedily absorbing the meaning of Lu Yi's heart of cooking path. Everyone seemed to have heard the sound of the black-robed man swallowing his saliva. This demon below the stage. Bufong stuffed the last bit of the oyster pancake into his mouth, his eyes wrinkling. Looking at the vague shadow of the giant beast behind the black-robed man, it seemed to be a little familiar. Tao Tai, Bufong muttered. It's the dark Tao Tai. You held the oyster pancake, looking at Bufong as she said. Dark Tao Tai? Isn't it still a Tao Tai? Bufong was puzzled. The dark Tao Tai. Its origin is evil, and it comes from the nether prison. You said. Her tone was a little nervous and solemn. From a nether prison. This time, Bufong was completely stunned. The nether prison was even more mysterious than the nether prison. The Lord Go and the old Hades fought together, but in the end, they were defeated and fled. If the black-robed man was really the first valley master of the Valley of Gluttony, how could he be related to the nether prison? After they came to the Heaven Chief realm, what exactly did they experience? Patter. Lu Yi's eyes were lifeless, his body softly falling to the ground. He did not die, but his heart was dead. The path of the culinary path could be considered to be completely ruined. Hey, don't be discouraged. Even if the heart of cooking path is gone, it can still be cultivated. The culinary path originates from confidence. As long as there is confidence, you can rise again. The black-robed man said with a smile, actually comforting Lu Yi. Below the stage, Lu Yi's father could not bear it anymore. Seeing his own son suffer such torment and humiliation, his heart was incomparably sad and indignant. With one step, he rushed onto the stage. A terrifying aura instantly spread out. After all, he was a third-grade heaven chief, and his cultivation was not weak. He also had the strength of a 6-star true immortal realm. With this move, he directly attacked the black-robed man. Obviously, he wanted to seek justice for Lu Yi. You used despicable means to win against my son. You and I cannot exist under the same sky. Lu Yi's father roared. However, the black-robed man did not care about the attack of Lu Yi's father in the slightest. Neither hurriedly nor slowly, he took away all the kitchen tools on Lu Yi's body. Even the immortal flame was taken away. After doing all this, he shook his hand, lightly exhaling. Lu Yi's father also neared, a fist stirring up a storm, directly smashing toward the black-robed man. The shadow of the fist seemed to shatter the void. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying pressure suddenly burst out. Lu Yi's father's eyes suddenly shrank, feeling his body tremble. A huge figure wrapped in a black robe instantly blocked in front of the black-robed man. He easily received the fist of Lu Yi's father. Old ox, for this kind of person who doesn't pay attention to the rules of the game, it's time to teach him a lesson. The black-robed man said, "Kill him, or—" The tall and sturdy black-robed man was puzzled, his voice muffled. The black-robed man raised his slender fingers. His black nails were so shocking. He snapped his fingers, whistling. Then his words were ice-cold. "Kill him." Boom! As soon as his words fell, the aura of the tall and sturdy black-robed man soared. Everyone seemed to hear the sound of cow mooing. In the next instant, Lu Yi's father seemed to have suffered a heavy blow from a 10,000 gene boulder, vomiting blood as he was sent flying. The tall and sturdy black-robed man's hand shook, and the void seemed to be smashed into pieces. He threw a punch toward Lu Yi's father. Rip! The void was smashed into pieces. Boom! An oppressive aura filled the air. Lu Yi's father's eyes were filled with fear. His body was trembling. Just now, he was only a step away from death. However, the fist of that tall and sturdy black-robed man was blocked by someone. Mengqi's delicate hand slightly raised, blocking the fist of that tall and sturdy black-robed man. Her delicate body slightly retreated a step, lightly exhaling. Your murderous aura is too heavy. Just because of a disagreement, you want to kill? Mengqi frowned coldly, saying, "All right, since City Lord Mengqi has spoken, then I won't kill." The black-robed man said with a smile. This calmness and ease made Mengqi, who had prepared for battle, suddenly pause. He seemed a little shameless. Bufang, who was below the stage, had already confirmed that this black-robed man was definitely the first valley master of the Valley of Gluttony, that shameless old man. However, why did he become like this? Why did his cooking skills suddenly soar so much? All of these, Bufang was not clear. His opponent's body seemed to be shrouded in a layer of fog. The black-robed man walked down the stage, and a tall and sturdy black-robed man also followed. However, before the tall and sturdy black-robed man left, his gaze fell on Lord Go, who was at the judge's seat and seemed to be a little sluggish. Lord Go's lazy dog eyes suddenly narrowed, slightly opening, looking at that black-robed man. He let out a yawn. Mengqi walked to the side of Lu Yi, whose mind was on the verge of collapse. She reached out her hand, stroking Lu Yi's head, calming his emotions. Actually, what the black-robed man said was also right. The Heaven Chief's life was long, and 10 years was nothing. If Lu Yi still had a desire for cooking, he would eventually rise again. He would be able to break through adversity and even reach a higher level and potential than before. Lu Yi's father brought Lu Yi down. The stage suddenly became empty. No one continued to choose to challenge. It was just that the previous 2 challenges were too shocking. If they went up now, they would only make a fool of themselves. Since no one wants to challenge, then I announce, this year's Heaven Chief competition is officially over. The ranking of the Heaven Chief competition: first place, Bufang; second place, Lu Mabai; third place, Lu Yi. City Lord Mengqi's face restored to a gentle smile. She said to the crowd, "Now, the top 10 contestants, please step onto the stage. We will start to distribute the prizes. After the time it takes to drink a cup of tea, the top 10 contestants will step into the space of the Heaven Tree." Mengqi said, "The space of the Heaven Tree?" The hearts of the top 10 contestants slightly trembled. Then, all of them became excited. The space of the Heaven Tree. Every contestant in the top 10 looked at each other, seeing the passion in each other's eyes. Of course, Lu Yi was still incomparably dispirited. He was still shrouded in failure, unable to extricate himself. Bufang's face was expressionless, and the black-robed man laughed nonstop. Entering the space of the Heaven Tree, one could comprehend the will of the Great Path, which could enhance one's cooking skill and walk further on the road of cooking. And the most important thing was, almost everyone present was at the peak of the immortal chef realm. Entering the space of the Heaven Tree, there was a high possibility that they could break through and become the second great Heaven Chief. How could they not be excited? Mengqi seemed to know what everyone was thinking, so she did not interrupt them. The prizes were here. Realm Lord Dit walked down. Under Mengqi's order, he solemnly handed over the jade talismans with the prizes to the contestants. When Realm Lord Dit handed the jade talismans to Bufang, he looked at Bufang's expressionless face and instantly winked. "Little Boo-Boo, your performance is not bad. Are you interested in learning cooking from this Realm Lord and experiencing the art of nudity?" The surrounding people were in an uproar. The Realm Lord wanted to accept the great demon as his disciple. However, Bufang expressionlessly received the jade talismans. He raised his head to look at Realm Lord Dit, the corners of his mouth twitching. Not interested, the crowd was in an uproar again. The great demon actually refused. That was the Realm Lord's invitation. Becoming the Realm Lord's disciple, the disciple of the strongest Qilin chef in the Heaven Chief realm, was something that many people dreamed of. However, the great demon had actually rejected it so bluntly. He was worthy of being the great demon. His way of doing things was something that they could not understand at all. All right, everyone get ready. After a while, we will enter the space of the Heaven Tree. I hope that everyone can obtain some benefits in the space of the Heaven Tree, comprehend the Great Path, and improve your cooking skills. City Lord Mengqi smiled warmly, her face full of warmth. Many people were infatuated with her. Bufong, on the other hand, paused for a moment, and his eyes became dull. In his head, the serious voice of the system resounded. Host, the temporary task reward has been released. Please check. Congratulations, host. You have collected the fragments of the God of Cooking set. Do you want to exchange? He could exchange for the fragments of the God of Cooking set now. The system's words made Bufong slightly stunned. Then, Bufong's eyes focused, a little excited. The fourth piece of the God of Cooking set was coming out. Then, without hesitation, he chose exchange. Chapter 1069. Of course, he would exchange for it. Now that there was a chance to exchange for the God of Cooking set, how could Bufong let it go? The God of Cooking set's effect on a chef's cooking skill was too great. Just take Bufong, for example. If he lost the dragon bone kitchen knife, the black turtle constellation wok, and the vermilion bird robe, his cooking skill would drop by a level, and it would be impossible for him to get the first place in this Heaven Chief competition. As for the other Heaven Chief, if they didn't have immortal tools, they would also lose a lot of competitiveness. Bufong was very clear about the benefits of the God of Cooking set. Hence, Bufong had always been looking forward to finding out what the fourth God of Cooking set was. Could it be a stove? Bufong narrowed his eyes, guessing in his heart that it should be a stove. After all, from the situation in the Heaven Chief realm, many Heaven Chief would take out an immortal tool, a stove, when they were cooking. The stove could strengthen the chef's control over the flames, making the control over the taste of the dishes more subtle. If it was a stove, it was not bad. Bufong, on the other hand, needed a stove. Exchange, Bufong said to the system in his heart. Then, the system was silent for a while. A moment later, the system's solemn voice rang in his head again. Exchange for fragments of the God of Cooking set begins. Host, please wait. Bufong stood motionless, waiting in a daze. At this moment, on the arena, the 10 Heaven Chief stood still. Many Heaven Chief were curiously looking at Bufong. They were both in awe and curiosity. This was the first place in the Heaven Chief competition, the Heaven Chief from the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm. From the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm, where resources were scarce, he showed his talent in the Heaven Chief competition, crushing all the opponents along the way. In the end, he killed the strongest monster of the fifth layer of the Heaven Chief realm, Lu Yi, and won the first place in the Heaven Chief competition. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was a monster. If the great demon grew up on the 5th floor, how terrifying would that be? With the same amount of resources, the great demon king would become a nightmare that shrouded all of their hearts. The most terrifying nightmare. Of course, at this moment, all the immortal chefs who were studying Bufong twitched the corners of their mouths when they saw the great demon king standing there in a daze like a fool. The current Bufong was completely different from the great demon who had suppressed everything in the arena. He looked like a complete idiot. However, no one dared to underestimate Bufong. After all, the other party was the great demon who had killed Lu Yi. The black-robed man was also looking at Bufong, but his eyes were filled with interest. It was as if he was looking at his prey. As for Lu Yi, he still hadn't recovered from the shadow of defeat. He looked extremely dispirited. Buzz in Bufong's mind, an invisible wave spread out. In the next instant, Bufong's mind sank into his spirit sea. As soon as he entered the spirit sea, Bufong could feel that his spirit sea seemed to be in an indescribable restlessness. The golden divine dragon, black tortoise, and vermilion bird were all restless, as if some terrifying existence was about to descend. This aura, that guy is coming, the golden divine dragon said in a muffled voice. The golden divine dragon said in a muffled voice. His spirit sea surged as his body surged. That battle-hungry guy is coming. I hate that guy. The black tortoise said in a muffled voice. Its tortoise shell, which seemed to be carrying a world on its back, seemed to be shaking slowly. Vermilion bird's eyes fell on Bufong's body. With a cry, its flaming feathers fluttered. Little host, remember, don't be led astray by that guy, Vermilion bird said. Bufong clasped his hands behind his back, facing these 3 huge creatures. He was instantly a little puzzled. Who are you talking about? The new god of cooking set's artifact spirit, Golden Divine Dragon said. Bufong was slightly taken aback. So magical. This new god of cooking set seemed to be awesome. It actually made the three artifact spirits so restless. That's a restless master. Little host, don't be led astray. Black Tortoise also said seriously. The Black Tortoise was intelligent, so Bufong trusted his words. Even the Black Tortoise took it so seriously. It seemed that this new guy was very interesting. Bufong suddenly felt a little impatient. Suddenly, Bufong's spirit sea began to surge. In the depths of his spirit sea, thousands of waves surged. Bufong's pupils shrank. Golden Divine Dragon, Black Tortoise, and Vermilion Bird all turned their heads to look at the depths of the spirit sea. There seemed to be an endless fog there. Suddenly, a huge figure slowly emerged from the fog. Boom, boom, boom. Bufong felt as if his spirit sea was filled with a rumbling sound. Ripples spread out from the spirit sea under his feet. It's here. I smell that guy's disgusting aura again. It's full of fighting and killing aura. The Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Golden Divine Dragon said one after another, their voices full of fear. Bufong's curiosity was piqued. He looked straight into the depths of the darkness. Roar! A sonorous tiger roar resounded through the sky. Bufong sucked in a cold breath. It was as if this tiger roar was going to explode his spirit sea. The tiger roar exploded, causing the sea of water to soar into the sky. It was accompanied by a whistling sound. Golden Divine Dragon also let out a sonorous dragon roar. The Black Tortoise roared. The Vermilion Bird spread its wings and cried. The voices of the four artifact spirits echoed and bombarded each other. Bufong was like a small boat, bearing the impact of the four artifact spirits' confrontation. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The sea of his spirit sea seemed to boil and slowly evaporate. Finally, Bufong saw the appearance of the artifact spirit that walked out from the depths of the darkness. After seeing it clearly, Bufong couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. It was a gigantic hanging eyes white tiger that was completely white. Its fur was white, and as it walked out from the darkness, its body seemed to be burning with white flames. That flame twisted the void, and the scorching temperature was accompanied by coldness. The white tiger walked out completely. It raised its head, opened its bloody mouth, and let out a tiger roar. The roar exploded, and ripples spread out, rumbling incessantly. White tiger, what do you want? The Vermilion Bird screeched. There seemed to be scarlet flames burning in its eyes. Sizzle, sizzle. The white tiger slowly walked forward. As its feet touched the ground, the water in the spirit sea evaporated. A wave of terrifying pressure emitted from the white tiger's body. Long time no see, little caterpillar, the old turtle, and the little bird, the white tiger said. Its voice was extremely hoarse, like the sound of a sharp knife rubbing against the ground. Who are you calling a little caterpillar? The Gold Divine Dragon was enraged. With a dragon roar, its giant body rolled as if it was about to set off waves. The corners of the white tiger's mouth twitched, and a disdainful look flashed in its eyes. Flustered and exasperated, you finally admit that you're a little caterpillar? The white tiger laughed hoarsely. In the end, it ignored the irascible Gold Divine Dragon, and its eyes fell on Bufong. Bufong instantly felt that the air around him seemed to be compressed and disappear. Boom! Just for a moment, the white tiger disappeared from its spot. The spirit sea let out a stifled scream. A moment later, the white tiger appeared in front of Bufong, its giant tiger claw hovering above Bufong's head. Host, you this little brat. The white tiger's eyes widened, staring at Bufong. The strong wind blew, causing Bufong's hair to flutter unceasingly. Bufong exhaled deeply. It's me. You're the spirit of the fourth piece of the God of Cooking set, right? That's right. I'm the spirit of the white tiger heaven stove. White tiger. The white tiger said casually, looking at Bufong with interest. In the God of Cooking set, I'm the master of slaughter. Are you interested in conquering the world with me? The white tiger grinned. White flames spurted out of its mouth. Conquering the world? Not interested. Bufong looked at the white tiger, his face expressionless. The white tiger heaven stove? It seemed like the fourth piece of the God of Cooking set was indeed a stove. The corners of Bufong's mouth twitched. However, the spirit of the white tiger heaven stove seemed to have some personality. If you don't conquer the world, what's the difference between you and a salted fish? This tiger will slap you to death with one paw. A tiger roar rang out. Bufong's words seemed to have angered the white tiger, causing it to raise its paw, slapping at Bufong. The oppressive space in the spiritual sea kept exploding. Bufong furrowed his brows, but his expression did not change. Indeed, the white tiger's paw finally hovered above Bufong's head. I'm the host. You dare to kill me? Bufong said casually. The white tiger slowly retracted its paw. Very good. You're very courageous. However, the white tiger smiled, slowly turning around, finding a place to lie down. The white flames around its body burned fiercely. The white tiger, have experienced so many hosts. They're all dead. You little brat won't live for long. The white tiger said casually. In the distance, the vermilion bird, the divine dragon, and the black tortoise were all silent. They had to admit that what the white tiger said was the truth. White tiger, this little host might create a miracle, the vermilion bird suddenly said. However, the white tiger just glanced at the vermilion bird, snorted, and closed its eyes, not saying a word. Bufong furrowed his brows. All the previous hosts had died. This white tiger had no confidence in him. However, Bufong did not mind. If he had no confidence, he would cultivate it. Bufong would not die that easily. Clasping his hands, Bufong gave the white tiger a deep look. Then he left the spirit sea. He opened his eyes. Bufong's consciousness returned to his body. Now, everyone, get ready to enter the space of the heaven tree. City Lord Mengqi's gentle and pleasant voice echoed in Bufong's ears. Then, a dark green jade talisman appeared in her hand. In the middle of the jade talisman was the drawing of a small tree. She crushed the jade talisman, and a palm-sized, circular array spun in her palm. Finally, with a flick of her finger, it landed on the heads of the 10 heaven chief, covering Bufong and the others. Bufong raised his head. The black cloak man also raised his head. The other heaven chief also raised their heads. Even Lu Yi, who had lost all hope, raised his head. Looking at the array above their heads, the dark green light was dazzling. In an instant, it bloomed. In the next instant, Bufong felt that his eyes were completely covered by the light of the array. Buzz, the dazzling light, made people close their eyes involuntarily. Their bodies seemed to twist. When Bufong felt the light weaken, he opened his eyes. What came into view was blue clouds in the sky, and a blazing sun hung in the sky, blooming with light. The warm sunlight shone down, sprinkling on Bufong's body, making Bufong feel comfortable. After coming to the Heaven Chief domain, Bufong had not basked in the sun for a long time. This kind of comfort made him a little nostalgic. Suddenly, Bufong's eyes locked on something in the distance. There, Bufong saw a towering tree, which looked like the heaven tree in the Heaven Chief domain. However, compared to the towering heaven tree, it was much smaller. It was just an ordinary tree. At most, it was a little bigger. It was about dozens of meters tall. Swish, the wind rose. The leaves of the big tree swayed. In the next instant, the sparkling leaves projected a meaning. Is this the space of the heaven tree? That should be the will of the great path that they were talking about. A towering tree? Back then, did the Lord go take a bite out of this tree? Bufong muttered. He looked around. The other heaven chief had disappeared. They should be scattered everywhere in the space of the heaven tree. Bufong did not care about this. His mind moved. Instantly, a white flame appeared in front of him. As soon as the flame appeared, it began to spin rapidly. Soon, a vague shadow emerged. Roar! A tiger's roar rang out. Bufong's mind was slightly shocked. A moment later, a white stove made of unknown materials emerged in front of Bufong. Boom! The stove hit the ground, so heavy that the ground shook. Bufong's mind shivered. This is the fourth piece of the god of cooking set. White tiger. Heaven stove? Looking at the stove, Bufong took in a breath of cold air. Chapter 1070. White tiger heaven stove. Its entire body was white, made of an unknown mineral. It was overflowing with light and colors. Bufong reached out his hand, touching the white tiger heaven stove. Instantly, he felt a wave of violent heat. That temperature was very hot, but it didn't make Bufong feel hot. Perhaps it was because he was the host. However, the white tiger had once said that it was in charge of killing in the god of cooking set. However, looking at the white tiger heaven stove, it didn't seem to be related to killing. Looking at it, the white tiger heaven stove was even a little cute. That's right, it was cute. The white tiger heaven stove wasn't like the other stoves, which had sharp edges. Looking closely, the lines on the edges were even a little soft. It looked like a cat's head with its mouth wide open. That's right, it wasn't a tiger's head, but a cat's head. Thinking of the white tiger's violent and ruthless appearance, then looking at this cute cat's head stove, in an instant, the pressure that Bufong felt from the white tiger's violent temper disappeared. He almost laughed out loud. Thinking of that ruthless white tiger actually had such a cute appearance. There was an inexplicable contrast. Bufong rubbed his chin, walking around the white tiger heaven stove. There was a raging white flame burning in the white tiger heaven stove. This flame made Bufong slightly dazed. System, what's with this flame? Don't tell me that I don't need to use an immortal flame to use the white tiger heaven stove? Bufong asked the system in his heart. The system was silent for a moment, then it opened its mouth. White tiger heaven stove, one of the god of cooking set, mainly for killing. The white flame is the core flame of the white tiger heaven stove. The heaven illuminating flame can burn anything. The host can increase the power of the heaven illuminating flame by fusing it with an immortal flame. The white tiger heaven stove is made of star steel, which is indestructible and weighs more than 10,000 pounds. The white tiger heaven stove can increase the host's control over flames, and it can increase the host's sensitivity to cooking ingredients. When used together with a black turtle constellation wok, the host's cooking skills can be increased. The system's serious voice rang out, causing Bufong to be slightly stunned. After listening to Bufong's introduction of the white tiger heaven stove, Bufong couldn't help but narrow his eyes. As he stroked the white tiger heaven stove, Bufong could feel the terrifying fluctuations coming from it. It was made of star steel and had the shape of a cat's head. The heaven illuminating flame that could incinerate all living things burned in its wide, open mouth. The white heaven illuminating flames seemed to be the flames burning around the white tiger's body. With a thought, the white tiger heaven stove immediately floated up. Bufong was controlling the white tiger heaven stove, which was a little heavy. After all, he had just obtained the god of cooking set, so he was not as familiar with the dragon bone kitchen knife, which had been used for a long time. Boom! The stove fell to the ground, and the ground cracked. Bufong could not help but raise his eyebrows. It was very powerful, and smashing people with the stove should be more exciting than using the black turtle constellation wok. Bufong thought for a moment. What if he smashed someone with the black turtle constellation wok in the person's face and then smashed the stove? That sour feeling seemed to be very wonderful. The corner of Bufong's mouth twitched. He moved in front of the white tiger heaven stove. With a wave of his hand, the heaven illuminating flame instantly came out. The white flame was burning fiercely in his hand. There was a kind of contrast between the scorching and ice-cold temperature. Bufong gently exhaled a breath of air, which sprayed onto the heaven illuminating flame. Before it could get close, it was frozen with a cracking sound. This flame is a little strange. Bufong blinked his eyes. His mind moved. In his other hand, a golden flame lotus appeared. This was the golden lotus demonic flame, the immortal flame that Bufong had obtained. The system had said that these two flames could be compatible, but he did not know if it was true. Bufong carefully gathered the flames together. In an instant, Bufong's eyes shrank. because he realized that when the golden lotus demonic flame approached the heaven illuminating flame, it was actually slowly frozen. That's right. The immortal flame, with a scorching temperature, was frozen. What was going on? This strange situation made Bufang's heart jump. And then, as the two flames approached, the frozen golden lotus demonic flame was instantly swallowed. Crack, crack, the ice shattered, merging with the white heaven illuminating flame. In a short while, the entire golden flame disappeared, and the heaven illuminating flame had also turned into a white lotus. The ice-cold white lotus emitted an aura that made people's hearts palpitate. This flame seemed to be very unusual. With a thought, the golden lotus demonic flame in Bufang's dantian also turned into the white heaven illuminating flame. This meant that now, his flame was only left with the heaven illuminating flame. Narrowing his eyes, Bufang flicked his finger. The white heaven illuminating flame sped forward. Wherever it passed, the air seemed to be frozen, with shards of ice appearing on the ground. Boom! After a long time, the flame landed in the distance. That spot instantly exploded, the white flame phantom burning fiercely. After a long time, it disappeared. Bufang walked in front of it and saw a lotus-shaped pit on the ground. The big pit was filled with white ice crystals. So powerful, Bufang sucked in a breath of cold air. No wonder it was said that the white tiger was in charge of killing. This was just the power of the heaven illuminating flame. If the stove was added, the enemy would be instantly killed. Retracting the flame, the white tiger heaven stove also disappeared, turning into a white belt that wrapped around Bufang's waist. In the middle of the belt, there was a cute cat's head. Oh, tiger's head. Stroking the belt, Bufang gently exhaled. The corners of his mouth twitched. With another god of cooking set, Bufang felt that his cooking skills would be greatly improved. Most importantly, the dishes he cooked should have a stronger suppressive effect on Nethery's curse. Perfect. Not thinking about the white tiger heaven stove anymore, Bufang's gaze shifted to the heaven tree in the distance. Coming to the heaven tree space was to let them sense the heavenly path and comprehend cooking skills. Naturally, Bufang would not waste this good opportunity. Of course, the most important thing was that Bufang needed to find the heaven tree seed in the heaven tree space. Only after finding the heaven tree seed would he be considered to have completed the system's other temporary task, obtain the ability to fuse with immortal flames. Imagine, the current heaven illuminating flame was already so powerful after fusing with only one immortal flame. If he completed the temporary task and fused with more immortal flames, once the heaven illuminating flame fused with more immortal flames, one could imagine how terrifying the heaven illuminating flame's power would be. His heart was filled with anticipation. Bufang strode toward the heaven tree. In a corner of the heaven tree space, above the vault of heaven, the sky was white and the clouds were blue. The blue clouds floated slowly. The black-robed man stood in the same place, surrounded by dense grass. Crystal-clear water droplets rolled down the grass. He slightly twisted his neck, then raised his hand. The black robe's sleeves fell slightly, revealing his fair arms and slender palms. His pitch-black fingernails made his palms look a little strange. Buzz, a pitch-black kitchen knife appeared. The knife's blade was covered in scarlet vein patterns. The black-robed man swung the knife, slashing it across his palm. Fresh red blood immediately flowed out from the wound on his palm. More blood flowed out, but it didn't drip down. Instead, it floated up and spread, turning into a massive magic array. That magic array was really mysterious. The patterns inside were really mysterious, and they looked really complicated. After the wound was healed, the gushing blood also stopped. The black-robed man retracted his palm. He reached out a finger to touch the magic array. Instantly, the magic array shot up into the sky. It spun fiercely. Boom! The magic array spun, twisting the illusionary void unceasingly. Soon, inside the magic array, a figure slowly emerged. His hair was disheveled, and he had lost an arm. His entire body was shrouded in pitch-black energy. His white hair fluttered, his skin was pitch-black, and his eyes were scarlet. It was City Lord Feng, who had been sent flying by the Lord Go's claw. The one-armed City Lord Feng held a beating silver heart in his hand as he emerged from the magic array. The blood-red magic array continued to spin. Then, a tall and sturdy figure wrapped in a black robe appeared from within. Boom! The black-robed expert landed by the black-robed man. The two of them looked at City Lord Feng, who was hovering in the air, his aura extremely stagnant. "You're hurt." The black-robed man laughed, as though he was taking pleasure in someone else's misfortune. City Lord Feng glanced at the black-robed man, exhaling. "Surrounded by the Heaven Chief Realm's Realm Lord and that black dog. It's not bad that I didn't die," City Lord Feng said in a hoarse voice. A moment later, he opened his mouth, shoving the silver Qilin chef's heart into it. Gulp! The Qilin chef's heart entered his mouth, and City Lord Feng swallowed it. His mouth bulged, and his neck enlarged. Then, it entered his stomach. After swallowing the Qilin chef's heart, City Lord Feng's appearance began to change. His white hair became pitch black, and his eyes recovered. His skin also recovered. He returned to the appearance of a serious middle-aged man. He glanced at the black-robed man, then landed. "I've done what you wanted me to do. Now, you can continue your business," the black-robed man said indifferently. City Lord Feng looked at the black-robed man, not smiling or speaking. "That time, I saved you two in the space of the Heaven Tree. I didn't think that you two would grow to this level in such a short time. The Nether Prison's inheritance is indeed extraordinary," City Lord Feng said. "Should I thank you, or should I hate you?" The black-robed man said indifferently. His tone was somewhat sinister. "Just do your own thing. Since you've received the inheritance, you naturally have to pay a corresponding price. You and I both know this," the black-robed man said indifferently. There was no joy nor sorrow in his voice. City Lord Feng sneered, then turned his head to look at the Heaven Tree, his eyes a little complicated. "The Heaven Tree can't cultivate a high-grade Qilin chef anymore. I need to borrow the power of the Nether Prison. I need more Qilin chef's hearts," City Lord Feng said. Then, clasping his hands, he slowly walked forward. His figure shrunk to an inch, stepping on the air toward the location of the Heaven Tree. The black-robed man and the tall and sturdy black-robed expert looked at City Lord Feng's departing figure, not saying anything. "Old Ox, at that time, we were in the same boat in the Bronze Palace. Now that we're in the Heaven Chief Realm, we're still in the same boat. I have to say, aren't you King my nemesis?" The black-robed man tilted his head to look at the tall and sturdy black-robed expert. "It's none of your business. Hurry up and grow up. Getting rid of that Nether Prison guy's control is the right way. Although I crave power, I don't want to be restrained," the tall and sturdy black-robed expert said in a muffled voice. The black-robed man nodded. "Oh, that's right. Wait until those little Heaven Chief comprehend the heavenly path of the Heaven Tree and awaken the heart of cooking path. Then we'll start the hunting game," the black-robed man said with a relaxed smile. "Also, don't forget my old friend, Owner Boo. His heart of cooking path has been releasing an intoxicating aroma from the beginning," the black-robed man said. Under the shadow of the black robe, a tongue stuck out, licking its lips. Space within the Heaven Tree, the illusionary void, twisted. Then a white magic array emerged. Two figures appeared in the illusionary void. "Sigh, Realm Lord His Highness is really lazy. Why did he let us be in charge of the security of the Heaven Tree space? Wasn't that damn Feng Guanzhong in charge of this in the past?" A sorrowful voice resounded. Then the figure of the Zhou lords emerged. Beside him was City Lord Liu, who was dressed in a white robe. "Don't you know that bastard Feng Guanzhong killed City Lord Shui? We've been deceived for so long. If he didn't attack a contestant and expose everything, we would still be in the dark," City Lord Liu said casually. "All right, that damn Feng Guanzhong. He really knows how to stir up trouble. If I see him, I will poke him to death with my thumb and middle finger." The Zhou lords raised his thumb and middle finger, snorting arrogantly. Let's go to the gap in the space of the heaven tree. After so many years, the gap caused by the black dog should be restored. Before, it was Feng Guanzhong who was in charge. Now it's our turn. We can't relax. If something happens, you and I can't escape the blame, City Lord Liu said seriously. Then, the two of them flew toward the space of the heaven tree in the distance. All of a sudden, the eyes of the two people, who were flying slowly, shrank. Their scalps were about to explode. As they approached the space of the heaven tree, instantly, a blood-colored magic array appeared on the ground. Boom! Inside the magic array, beams of blood-colored light shot up to the sky, turning into a massive barrier that covered the two of them. The Zhou Lords and City Lord Liu instantly furrowed their brows, frightened. Who's there? The Zhou Lords raised his thumb and middle finger, roaring. Inside the blood-colored barrier, a figure slowly appeared. Feng Guanzhong didn't smile, looking at the two familiar people in front of him. His mouth opened, revealing a ferocious smile. Finally, you're here, my Qilin chef's heart. Chapter 1071. Heaven Chief Realm. 5th floor. The top 10 of the Heaven Chief competition entered the space of the Heaven Tree. The arena suddenly became empty. City Lord Meng Qi was wearing a long robe that covered her exquisite body. She clasped her hands behind her back and swept her gaze across the crowd. As for the audience, they knew that there was nothing left for them to do, so they all left with satisfaction. This time's Heaven Chief competition was really too enjoyable to watch. The great demon, who appeared out of nowhere, overcame all obstacles and crushed everything. From a nobody, his name spread far and wide, resounding throughout the entire Heaven Chief realm. His experience was simply too mysterious, especially the cooking competition between the great demon and the monstrous Liu Yi. It simply made all the audience's blood boil, and the reversal was endless. Everyone thought that the great demon was going to lose, but in the end, the great demon used the level of a cold dish to defeat the monstrous Liu Yi, successfully defeating the #1 monstrous talent of the 5th floor of Heaven Chief Realm. That competition made everyone's heart surge, and they were extremely excited, especially since every match was actually a chef's challenge. Such a thing like a chef's challenge was extremely intense, and it was very easy to cause the emotions of the audience to boil. The appearance of a chef's challenge made victory and defeat especially important. Liu Yi lost to the great demon, and he lost a kitchen knife. However, no one would have thought that a black-cloaked person would appear out of nowhere. With his exquisite culinary skills, he had actually completely crushed Liu Yi. Completely crushed. Compared to the great demon's crushing, it was more direct and cruel. That chef's challenge made everyone in the audience feel as though they had stopped breathing. No matter what, this competition made them excited. They did not waste their immortal crystals to buy tickets, and they were very satisfied watching it. The audience gradually left. However, below the arena, some of the Heaven Chief who did not enter the top 10 were unwilling. However, no matter how unwilling they were, they had no other choice, because the competition was already over. With the departure of the audience, the final result of the Heaven Chief competition would definitely be spread throughout the Heaven Chief realm. The Heaven Chief competition was a grand event in the Heaven Chief realm, and many people were paying attention to it. Moreover, there was a dark horse in this year's Heaven Chief competition, so more and more people were paying attention to it. The great demon from the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm. From the second layer, he had crushed his opponents all the way to the top layer. Then, he had reached the finals and won first place. If this news were to spread out, it would definitely cause everyone to exclaim in admiration. As for the great aristocratic families of the Heaven Chief realm, they were all prepared to recruit the great demon. An immortal chef with such a bright future would definitely become their target to recruit. As expected, many of the Heaven Chief's predictions were not wrong. The audience walked out of the Heaven Tree Square. They took out their jade talismans, spreading the final news of the Heaven Chief competition to the entire Heaven Chief realm. The news of the 5th layer first spread to the 4th layer, then to the 3rd layer, the the third layer to the second layer, and the second layer to the first layer. The first layer, Tong Woody looked at the news from the second layer's jade talisman, and he couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. The Great Demon won first place. The Great Demon is really a legendary figure. He was a nobody, but in one day he swept away all the monstrous talents in the fifth layer of the Heaven Chief realm. Heaven Chief, he killed the number one monstrous talent of the fifth layer and won first place. A dragon among men. Tong Woody exclaimed in admiration. If such a genius could become a member of the Tong family, how good would that be? Unfortunately, it was just a thought. After all, the Tong family was just an aristocratic family in the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm that lacked resources. All of a sudden, Tong Woody froze. A moment later, his eyes shrank, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. The Great Demon is Bufong. How could it be? The first layer's Heaven Chief won the first place in the Heaven Chief competition. Tong Woody looked at the information in the jade talisman, dumbfounded. His mind was in a mess. Fifth layer, Heaven Tree Square. Gong Shuban was so excited that his face was red, constantly clenching his fists. First place. They won the first place. The first layer's Heaven Chief of the Heaven Chief realm had won first place. This had broken the record of the Heaven Chief realm for many years. In other words, up until now, no one in the first layer of the Heaven Chief realm had won first place. This was the first time. Honorbu had broken the F*King record. I wonder if Honorbu's cooking skills will become stronger after he comprehended the will of the Great Path in the Heaven Tree. With his talent, Honorbu should be able to break through to the second grade Heaven Chief. Gong Shuban said with anticipation, "Do you want to go and see?" In the distance, Yu sat on the Netherworld ship, swinging her white legs. She glanced at Gong Shuban and said, Gong Shuban was stunned. Is it really possible? You looked at Lord Go and Realm Lord did in the distance, then said, "Not now. We'll move at night." Gong Shuban instantly understood, nodding his head. Then, the three of them led the bewildered Cece out of the Heaven Tree Square. Lord Go glanced at Yu's back as she left, twitching his dog mouth. Then, his gaze fell on Realm Lord did. Exhibitionist, let's go find that guy who escaped. He's related to the Nether prison. It's a big deal. Don't blame Lord Go for not reminding you. Once it's related to the Nether prison, the Heaven Chief realm will be in danger. That's what happened to the Earth prison in the past, Lord Go said. In the distance, Realm Lord did, who was chatting with City Lord Mingqi, was stunned. His face became serious. He nodded his head. City Lord Mingqi was also curious, so she followed them. Two people and a dog left the Heaven Tree Square, piercing the sky and disappearing. As for the aftermath of the competition, City Lord Mengqi ordered several judges to deal with it. These judges were all third-grade Heaven Chief, and they were highly respected in the Heaven Chief realm. It wasn't hard to deal with them. In the space of the Heaven Tree, the space of the Heaven Tree forbade tearing the void to enter. That was why Bu Fong and the others were transported here. Only the Zhou Lords and City Lord Lu chose to be transported here. This was also the reason why Feng Guanzhong chose to let the black-cloaked man use the transportation array to transport him here. Because once the void was torn, it would easily cause the space of the Heaven Tree to retaliate, thinking that they were intruders. The blood-colored array shrouded the entire heaven and earth. Within the array, three figures floated. A terrifying aura spread out. The pitch-black lines constantly moved outside the array, isolating it from outsiders' detection. Feng Guanzhong greedily looked at City Lord Lu and the Zhou Lords. His mouth opened, and his tongue stuck out, licking his lips. The Zhou Lords and City Lord Lu felt their hairs stand on end. Feng Guanzhong, what do you want? You actually dare to build an array in the space of the Heaven Tree. City Lord Lu's face was cold as he roared. The white robe on his body fluttered. In his hand, a pitch-black iron bowl appeared. The iron bowl emitted thick, immortal energy. It was actually a top-grade immortal tool. City Lord Lu's pressure burst out, his eyes staring at Feng Guanzhong. Nothing. It's just that we haven't seen each other for so long. Let's catch up. Feng Guanzhong's eyes widened as he smiled greedily. Catch up? What's it to catch up with trash like you? It's good that you're here. Obediently come with us to see the Realm Lord and admit your crimes. The Zou Lord placed his hands on his hips, instantly shouting at Feng Guanzhong in the void. He coldly glanced at the Zou Lords. The cold smile on Feng Guanzhong's face became thicker. Catch me to see the Realm Lord? You guys really don't know how to write the word death. Do you really think I'm here to catch up with you? Feng Guanzhong extended his hand, and a kitchen knife slowly appeared in his hand. It was a pitch-black kitchen knife with scarlet lines all over it. It was rather similar to the black-cloaked man's kitchen knife. Oh, you want to kill the two of us? You want to kill the two of us alone? Is there something wrong with your head? The Zou Lord swung his thumb and middle finger as he sneered. I won't kill you. I just want to borrow something from you. Feng Guanzhong grinned. The white-clothed city Lord Liu instantly furrowed his brows, incomparably vigilant. What do you want? I want to borrow your Qilin chef's heart. Feng Guanzhong revealed his mouth full of teeth, which seemed to be shooting out blood. Swoosh! The pitch-black kitchen knife was instantly thrown out, tearing the void as it slashed towards City Lord Liu. In the space of the Heaven Tree, the Heaven Tree Chief, who had been transported there, woke up one after another. Shui Yao wore a purple chef robe, her hair cascading down. Her face was quite exquisite. She raised her head, looking at the space of the Heaven Tree in the distance, feeling a little excited. The space of the Heaven Tree was the place she had always dreamed of. In this place, she could comprehend the will of the great path from the Heaven Tree, which could improve her cooking skills and condense the heart of cooking path. In the top 10, besides the top 3, no one else had condensed the heart of cooking path. However, since they could enter the top 10, their innate talents were naturally not bad. They were just one step away from completely condensing it. Thus, they were really looking forward to comprehending the will of the great path and condensing the heart of cooking path. The spiritual energy in the space of the Heaven Tree was really thick, as though it was about to materialize. The sky was blue with clouds. The ground was filled with immortal herbs and immortal ingredients. The immortal energy that diffused made people feel refreshed. Many immortal ingredients were not bad, but Shui Yao did not pick them up. After all, this was the space of the Heaven Tree. Naturally, she did not dare to act recklessly. In other places, the Heaven Chief also looked in the direction of the Heaven Tree, their eyes blazing. Suddenly, all of their hearts trembled, because at the location of the Heaven Tree, a wave of energy instantly spread. A mysterious wave of energy turned into ripples, spreading out. This wave seemed to be filled with the sound of the great path. Wherever it passed, the flowers, grass, and trees in the space of the Heaven Tree swayed unceasingly, as though they were listening to something. Some immortal ingredients even bloomed with thick immortal energy. The immortal energy floated, and the air was filled with a thick aroma. In the space of the Heaven Tree, the eyes of the Heaven Chief shivered. Then, an incomparably excited look appeared on their faces. They sat cross-legged. They closed their eyes, and their spirit sea surged with waves, beginning to guide those waves. They began to listen to the will of the great path spreading out from the Heaven Tree, just like those immortal ingredients. In a corner of the space of the Heaven Tree, the burly expert wrapped in a black cloak followed behind the black-cloaked man. The two of them slowly walked in the space of the Heaven Tree. The black-cloaked man was a little bored. Occasionally, he would pick an immortal fruit, put it in his mouth, and began to chew. The will of the great path has begun to spread. Seems like our little Heaven Chief are about to mature. The black-cloaked man chewed the spirit fruit in his mouth, speaking in a muffled voice. The black-cloaked expert said in a muffled voice, "Then, should we find Bufang first, or those Heaven Chief?" He spat out a fruit pit. The pit fell to the ground. Under the fluctuation of the sound of the great path, it sank into the soil. In just a moment, a tender bud grew out, worthy of being the will of the great path of the Heaven Tree. Really extraordinary. It's not hard to find Bufang, but we still have to be cautious. How about this? You go find Bufang first. After I finish harvesting the fruits, you directly use the array to transport me there. I've been looking forward to the heart of cooking path in Owner Boo's body for a long time, the black-cloaked man said. The burly black-cloaked man nodded. The tall and sturdy black-robed man nodded. Then he stomped his feet on the ground with a boom. The ground exploded. The burly black-cloaked expert turned into a shadow, disappearing from the black-cloaked man's sight. The black-cloaked man whistled, clasping his hands as he walked away. Before Bu Fong got close to the heaven tree, he felt that the will of the great path of the heaven tree was constantly spreading out. Slightly furrowing his brows, Bu Fong exhaled. After sensing this great path, Bu Fong found that his heart of cooking path was much more condensed. It's actually helpful to the heart of cooking path. Bu Fong's heart felt strange. Then he sat cross-legged, slowly accepting the baptism of the will of the great path. Several hundred miles away from Bu Fong, the burly black-cloaked expert slowly floated up, turning into a small dot in the void. His eyes were like torches, looking straight at Bu Fong, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. Bu Fong found him. Chapter 1072. Fifth layer. Central City, Lord Mansion Realm, Lord Dit wore a loose robe. Under the robe, his naked body was faintly discernible. His figure landed in front of the gate of the City Lord Mansion. Looking at the majestic City Lord Mansion, his eyes slightly twinkled. Lord Go turned into a black light, appearing in front of the huge gate in an instant. Let's go. Let's go in and take a look. Normally, that guy wouldn't foolishly stay in the City Lord Mansion. Lord Go lazily said, sticking out his tongue. Then, Lord Go took his enchanting cat-like steps, stepping into the City Lord Mansion. Realm Lord Dit flicked his golden hair, then pushed open the Scarlet City Lord Mansion's gate with City Lord Mingxi. A wave of gloomy aura swept over. Lord Go and Realm Lord Dit instantly furrowed their brows. Two people and a dog stepped in. The entire City Lord Mansion was incomparably silent, without a trace of life. The originally bustling City Lord Mansion seemed to have become a dead place at this moment. This made Lord Go and Realm Lord Dit feel a trace of doubt and confusion. Could it be that Feng Guanzhong had returned to the City Lord's manor and dismissed all the servants? This guy was being chased like a stray dog. Could it be that he still had the leisure to care about these trivial matters? Two people and a dog came to the City Lord Mansion's courtyard. Stepping into the courtyard, the silent courtyard instantly underwent a huge change. Blood-colored light rushed into the sky, filling the entire horizon. Boom! Boom! The ground cracked open. Blood-colored tentacles instantly filled the sky, turning into a huge net, pouncing towards Lord Go and Realm Lord Dit. What is this? Realm Lord Dit's face was filled with confusion. This is called a blood net. Lord Go raised his head to look at the blood net, saying solemnly, "This is the Nether Prison's method. This Feng Guanzhong indeed has a huge connection with the Nether Prison," the Lord Go said. "Back then, I bit the heavenly way. A large part of it was because of this Feng Guanzhong playing tricks behind my back." Lord Go exhaled and continued. Realm Lord Dit was taken aback. His face twisted as he squinted at Lord Go. "You mangy dog, don't think of using this opportunity to shift the blame." To this, Lord Go could only roll his eyes at Dit. This idiot, rumble. As the blood net descended, the void was scorched and emitted sizzling black smoke. Clearly, the power of this blood net was extraordinary. "How do I break this blood net?" City Lord Mingxi asked. "This blood net is a vicious method of the Nether Prison. Even a true God Realm expert will be turned into a pool of blood after touching it," the Lord Go said. "As for how to break it, one claw will suffice." The Lord Go's dog mouth twitched, saying disdainfully. In the next instant, the exquisite dog claw soared into the sky. The dog claw became extremely huge, instantly hitting the blood net, causing it to break in just a blink of an eye. A huge gap was split open. From that gap, Realm Lord Dit, Lord Go, and City Lord Mingxi dashed out. Heaven tree space circles of energy rippled, and the sound of the great path echoed unceasingly. In every corner of the space, Many figures were sitting cross-legged. Immortal energy revolved around the nostrils and mouths of these figures. The true energy in their bodies was boiling. Sometimes they furrowed their brows, and sometimes they looked as if they were suddenly enlightened. Buzz, within the heaven tree space, another wave of energy rippled out. It surged over every heaven chief's body. A heaven chief suddenly opened his eyes. The sound of his heartbeat instantly became like the evening drum and morning bell rumbling. As the sound of his heartbeat arose, the surrounding trees and grass bent down, swaying unceasingly. Ha ha! I've finally condensed it. My heart of cooking path. A heaven chief excitedly stood up, his face filled with excitement. To the heaven chief, condensing the heart of cooking path meant potential. If he could condense the heart of cooking path at the immortal chef level, it was highly possible for him to successfully enter the third grade heaven chief realm. Once he entered the third grade heaven chief realm, he would become the top force in the heaven chief realm. Clutching his chest, this heaven chief's eyes surged with excitement. He looked at the heaven tree in the distance, his face filled with awe. Slightly bending his body, he knelt in the direction of the heaven tree. It could be said that if it weren't for the great path's will from the heaven tree, he didn't know how long it would take for him to condense the heart of cooking path. Thus, he sincerely knelt. Suddenly, in the direction he knelt, a shadow suddenly shrouded over him. That heaven chief was stunned, and he couldn't help but raise his head. What came into view was a figure wrapped in a black cloak. "It's you." This top 10 heaven chief recognized the black-cloaked person, and his eyes instantly shrank. In the heaven chief competition, the black-cloaked person had crushed Lu Yi. Although at that time, Lu Yi had been defeated by the great demon, and his heart of Tao was unstable, the black-cloaked person might have picked up a big bargain. However, to be able to defeat Lu Yi, it was enough to show the black-cloaked person's strength. "Why are you here? What a coincidence." This heaven chief smiled. "Yeah, what a coincidence." The black-cloaked person chuckled, and in his voice there seemed to be a hint of ridicule. "Since you have condensed the heart of cooking path, why don't you sit down and comprehend the will of the great path? Who knows, you might be able to make the heart of cooking path advance a step further," that heaven chief said. "Oh, you want to make my heart of cooking path advance a step further?" The black-cloaked person asked. The heaven chief was slightly stunned. What did this black-cloaked person mean? "Looking at your appearance, it seems that you also sincerely want to make my heart of cooking path advance a step further. Since that's the case, then, let's have a chef's challenge." The black-cloaked person said very seriously. Chef challenge." That heaven chief's expression instantly changed. The black-cloaked person's chef challenge was not the great demon's chef challenge. If he lost, he would not be able to touch cooking for 10 years, and he would have a hand over all of his kitchenware. Most importantly, his heart of cooking path would be sucked away. The heart of cooking path that he had just condensed, how could it be sucked away just like that? No. Why is there a need for a chef's challenge? It's so hurtful. The heaven chief laughed dryly and waved his hand to refuse. However, a pitch-black kitchen knife suddenly appeared in the black-cloaked person's hand. On that kitchen knife, a red gem was inlaid, and the gem was fiercely beating like a heart. The heaven chief's expression changed. "Don't push people too far." Just as his voice fell, that black-cloaked person disappeared from his spot, and in the next instant, he appeared in front of the heaven chief. The kitchen knife, which was inlaid with a heart, was raised horizontally, placed on the neck of the heaven chief. Wisps of death energy lingered on it. "I'm a reasonable person. Obediently accept the chef's challenge. Otherwise, I don't mind sending you to your death. Chef's challenge or death, choose one." The black-cloaked person said with a smile. How could the heaven chief refuse? He could only agree to the chef's challenge. The black-cloaked person nodded his head in satisfaction. In a corner of the space of the heaven tree, a blood-colored barrier was revolving, and there was a pitch-black color lingering on it. Within the barrier, there was a rumbling sound, and it trembled unceasingly. The pitch-black knife light filled the entire barrier. Two figures were instantly forced to a corner of the barrier. Boom! A knife light poured down, smashing on the ground. The ground instantly shattered, and gravel flew everywhere. Rumble! One by one, the gravel flew out like shooting stars. City Lord Lu held a metal bowl in front of him and deflected the black saber chi. However, after each attack, he couldn't help but take a step back. City Lord Zhou, on the other hand, held a black wok in his hand. He smashed the black wok fiercely, and the saber chi collapsed. Damn you, Feng Guanzhong. You want to kill me? Zhou Lords gritted his teeth. His thumb and middle fingers pinched together, and the black wok instantly revolved around him, blasting away the knife energy. City Lord Feng's eyes were indifferent. I want to see how long you can resist, buzzed. The pitch-black knife energy diffused, turning into a massive knife energy that slashed down. Dog slaughtering knife technique. City Lord Feng hissed. Block it for me. Zhou Lord's face changed. Both of his hands pinched together, pointing forward. The black wok seemed to want to smash the void, clashing with the massive black knife energy. Rumble! Zhou Lord's face changed. Under this knife attack, he couldn't resist, retreating step by step. Boom! The black wok was smashed back, falling by his feet. A knife mark appeared on the wok, worthy of being the dog meat grandmaster. The dog slaughtering knife technique is really powerful. Gently exhaling, Zhou Lords clutched his chest. This time, we have to attack together. Feng Guanzhong is the strongest expert among the 5 city lords. You and I can't defeat him alone. City Lord Lu's face was incomparably solemn and serious. Harumph! This old lady will reluctantly join hands with you. Surnamed Lu. Zhou Lords looked at City Lord Lu, who was wearing a white robe. His thumb and middle fingers were pinched together, his hands supporting his waist. The two of them decided to join hands. A moment later, they soared up into the sky. Zhou Lords held the black wok, while City Lord Lu held the black bowl. Both of them attacked at the same time. The black wok enlarged unceasingly. Eventually, it turned into a giant object that spanned the void. The iron bowl also spun, and a terrifying suction force burst out from it. The black wok and the black bowl smashed toward Feng Guanzhong, who was hovering in the void, holding the knife. Feng Guanzhong sneered coldly. The kitchen knife slashed out once again. Suddenly, his face changed, because City Lord Lu's figure had unknowingly appeared in front of Feng Guanzhong. Do you want to die? Feng Guanzhong hissed. However, just as he was about to swing his knife, he suddenly paused. Behind him, Zhou Lords, who was pinching his thumb and middle fingers, also appeared. The two of them attacked Feng Guanzhong at the same time. They forced Feng Guanzhong into a corner. After all, they were 2 city lords. If they really joined hands, Feng Guanzhong would have a hard time dealing with them. Holding the knife, his figure turned. Instantly, the wind from the knife howled. Zhou Lords was instantly blown away by this terrifying attack. Harumph! Surnamed Lu, beat him up for this old lady. Zhou Lord's face paled. He was sent flying, falling from the void. However, when he was smashed to the ground, he still had to maintain his elegant posture. With a grunt, he landed on the ground, causing it to explode. City Lord Lu's eyes were like torches. He quickly threw out several punches, and the iron bowl flew into his hand, smashing towards Feng Guanzhong's face. The void began to shatter under the pressure of this bowl. Die! Feng Guanzhong! City Lord Lu's eyes shot out a sharp light. His white clothes fluttered unceasingly in the void. Suddenly, City Lord Lu's face froze. His eyes shrank, feeling a wave of disbelief. Because in his eyes, Feng Guanzhong's appearance had actually undergone a complete transformation. His pitch-black hair became white, and with a swish, his skin became pitch-black. His eyes were scarlet, and black nether energy revolved around his body. Boom! The black bowl was smashed. It was suddenly grabbed by the transformed Feng Guanzhong. I really don't know what to do with you guys. I still have to expose myself. Feng Guanzhong, who was grabbing the black bowl, said faintly, his voice becoming hoarse. His 5 fingers suddenly exerted force. Then, City Lord Lu sucked in a breath of cold air. That supreme-grade, immortal tool, the black bowl, was actually squeezed until it deformed. The immortal energy on it was squeezed, scattering. Bufong felt the heart of cooking path on his body becoming more and more sluggish. Suddenly, he lifted his head, looking into the distance. There, high in the sky, a figure was hovering above. His hands were crossed in front of his chest, indifferently looking down at him. His eyes were like torches, looking straight at Bufong. Under the wind, his black robe fluttered. Swish! The wind blew, blowing away the hat of that huge black-cloaked figure. The hat fell, revealing a face that Bufong was familiar with. Human, long time no see. The strongest demon king crossed his arms, grinning. Chapter 1073. The black-cloaked man let go of his hand, satisfied. In front of him, the Heaven Chief's body was stiff. His eyes were lifeless as he fell to the ground. The Heaven Chief's eyes were lifeless as he looked at the black-cloaked man. The heart of cooking path that he had just condensed was swallowed by the black-cloaked man. Of course, this so-called swallowing did not refer to swallowing the heart. It was swallowing the intent contained in the heart of cooking path. Without this so-called intent, the Heaven Chief's achievements could only stop here. Originally, a bright future had been paved for him. However, in the blink of an eye, he encountered the black-cloaked man, and the heart of cooking path was completely swallowed. The Heaven Chief almost wanted to die. At this moment, the Heaven Chief finally understood the despair that Lu Yi felt on the stage. It was a kind of despair that could not see the light. Although the Heaven Chief's life was long, and he could condense the heart of cooking path in the future, it was an extremely difficult thing to do. Perhaps Lu Yi could do it, but he knew his own talent. The black-cloaked man held a black kitchen knife. On the kitchen knife, there was a beating gem that looked like a heart. It emitted a dense blood-red mist, causing the black-cloaked man to involuntarily narrow his eyes. It's really a feeling that can make people sink after playing with the kitchen knife for a while. Light suddenly flashed on the surface of the knife. Glancing at the Heaven Chief, who had no love in life, the black-cloaked man did not choose to kill. Instead, he swaggered away. Sometimes, despair was more torturous than death. A smile appeared on Shui Yao's exquisite face. On her delicate skin, there was a little light moving. She stood up from the ground. He exhaled softly. The heart of cooking path has finally condensed. Shui Yao was very excited. With the heart of cooking path, she had the chance to break through to the third-grade Heaven Chief, although she could not reach the level of a Qilin chef. But this was already enough. In the distance, a few familiar figures dashed over. Their speed was extremely fast, and their oppressive aura made the surrounding grass slightly droop. "It's you guys." Shui Yao was stunned. The person was none other than Meng Kuan, whom she was familiar with. Beside Meng Kuan, there was a figure with a powerful aura. Feng Xian. Shui Yao's beautiful eyes lit up. Feng Xian was the other monstrous Heaven Chief from the 5th floor of Heaven Chief Realm. Although he was slightly weaker than Lu Yi, he still crushed his peers. Meng Kuan was actually together with Feng Xian. Didn't they say that Feng Xian was a chef fanatic who only knew how to cook and didn't know the ways of the world? Meng Kuan and Feng Xian's speed was very fast. Both of them sprinted over and landed beside Shui Yao. "It's great to see that you're fine," Meng Kuan said with lingering fear. "What's wrong?" Shui Yao was confused. What was Meng Kuan afraid of in the space of the Heaven Tree? Along the way, I met many Heaven Chief. Every one of them had a look of despair in their eyes. "This is very abnormal," Meng Kuan said. After understanding it, I found out that the black cloak person was searching for the Heaven Chief, who entered the space of the Heaven Tree for a chef's challenge. He plundered the heart of cooking path of each Heaven Chief and absorbed the fruits of their hard work after entering the space of the Heaven Tree. Shui Yao was shocked. There was such a thing? Was the black-robed man the mysterious fellow who had crushed Lu Yi into despair in the Immortal Chef tournament? Feng Xian nodded. He and Meng Kuan met on the way. Thinking of this, they decided to unite. Otherwise, they would follow in the footsteps of the other Heaven Chief. Let's go quickly. Take advantage of the fact that the second wave of the will of the Great Path hasn't erupted from the Heaven Tree to rush to the Heaven Tree. There will be a City Lord level expert waiting for us there. With a City Lord level expert there, the black-cloaked person definitely won't dare to be presumptuous. Meng Kuan said. Shui Yao nodded in a panic. She had never encountered such a thing, so at this moment, she was at a loss. She hurriedly followed Meng Kuan and Feng Xin to leave this place. They burst out with speed, dashing towards the Heaven Tree. Another wave of the will of the Great Path from the Heaven Tree would erupt. At that time, it would be a great opportunity. It was the goal of every Heaven Chief who entered the space of the Heaven Tree. That wave of the will of the Great Path could help them break through to the second grade Heaven Chief realm. At that time, they wouldn't need to be afraid of that black-cloaked person. Not long after the three of them left, that black-cloaked person floated over, his body emitting a terrifying aura. The Heart of Cooking Path was so strong that it was terrifying. Every time it beat, it would cause the illusionary void to tremble. These little Heaven Chief seem to have discovered something. They're starting to escape. The black-cloaked person clasped his hands, his eyes slightly narrowing. Then, he looked into the distance, where Shui Yao and the others had left. A game of cat and mouse. I like it. The black-cloaked person clasped his hands, the tip of his foot gently tapping the ground. The grass on the ground was instantly blasted open. Then, the figure of the black-robed man left behind a commotion on the spot as he turned into an afterimage and rapidly dashed away. Heaven Chief Realm, 5th layer, City Master's Mansion with a loud explosion. The entire majestic City Master's Mansion instantly turned into ruins. Terrifying smoke and dust billowed, unceasingly soaring into the sky. The 5th layer of Heaven Chief turned their heads to look at the direction of the City Master's Mansion in astonishment. Then they all sucked in a breath of cold air. They had never thought that the majestic City Master's Mansion would turn into ruins in just one night. That was the City Master's Mansion, the residence of the peak existence of the Heaven Chief Realm, low-grade Qilin chef Feng Guanzhong. Feng Guanzhong was a person of virtue and prestige, having a high reputation in the 5th layer of Heaven Chief Realm. Of course, a large part of it was because of Feng Guanzhong's cultivation and cooking skills. 10,000 meters above the City Master's Mansion, Lord Go floated, and Realm Lord Dit's robe fluttered in the wind. His naked body was faintly visible. City Lord Mengqi played with her hair, her eyes solemn. City Master Feng had become a traitor of the Heaven Chief Realm? Feng Guanzhong had really killed City Master Shui? Indeed, he's not here. Moreover, Feng Guanzhong has prepared a big gift for us. If we're not careful, we would have fallen into his trap. Realm Lord Dit coldly snorted, playing with his blonde hair. He felt that he had lost his face. Where would City Master Feng go? City Lord Mengqi asked suspiciously. If you were Feng Guanzhong, what would you do after your secret was exposed? Lord Go glanced at City Lord Mengqi, his magnetic voice echoing in the air. City Lord Mengqi was bewildered. Since the secret was exposed, he wouldn't choose to hide it. He would just finish what he needed to do. Mengqi said matter-of-factly. Wasn't that human nature? Realm Lord Dit was bewildered. He realized that City Lord Mengqi's words made sense. The secret was exposed. What does Feng Guanzhong want? Mengqi rubbed her chin, pondering. He probably wants the Qilin chef's heart. Realm Lord Dit said. Qilin chef's heart? That's too much. City Lord Mengqi's face turned ugly. If he wanted the Qilin chef's heart, it meant that he wanted the Qilin chef's life. There were only a few Qilin chefs in the Heaven Chief Realm, so it was obvious who Feng Guanzhong's target was. City Lord Mengqi was here. The only possibility was that Feng Guanzhong's target was the Zhou Lords and City Lord Liu. The two of them have entered the space of the Heaven Tree. They should be safe, right? Mengqi asked hesitantly. Of course, they should be safe. If you want to ask whether it's safe or not, this dog should be very clear. With the Heaven Tree, Who would dare to be presumptuous? Realm Lord Dit grinned. Lord Go was speechless, his mouth twitching as he glanced at Realm Lord Dit. That's hard to say. If Feng Guanzhong really joined hands with the Nether Prison, then the space of the Heaven Tree would no longer be safe. Lord Go said, Impossible. Even if it was you, weren't you chased away by the space of the Heaven Tree? Realm Lord Dit snorted. That's because I bit the heavenly path. I can't take it anymore. Lord Go seemed to be a little angry, coldly glancing at Realm Lord Dit. Mengqi saw that this man and dog seemed to be about to quarrel, so she hurriedly came out to smooth things over. In the end, 2 people and 1 dog decided to go to the space of the Heaven Tree. As a beam of light descended. In the next instant, 2 people and 1 dog appeared in front of the wooden house. Yaya looked at the 2 people and 1 dog in confusion. Realm Lord Dit did not explain too much. After all, he could not explain everything in a few words. Yaya, prepare the transportation array to enter the space of the Heaven Tree. We have something important to deal with. Realm Lord Dit said. Yaya nodded, hurrying to prepare the transportation array. The strongest demon king hovered in the sky, looking down at Bufong. Bufong seemed to be slightly stunned. Then he recognized the strongest demon king. That time, above the Bronze Palace, he had knelt in front of the palace for 10,000 years, just to beg for a bowl of eternal spring noodles with immortal energy. Now, the latter's aura had undergone an earth-shattering change. Even with Bufong's current mental energy, he could feel a wave of terrifying pressure coming from the strongest demon king's body. This pressure made his brows slightly furrow. Boom! In just a moment, the sound of breaking air rang out. The strongest demon king's figure appeared in front of Bufong. A terrifying pressure spread out from his body. Under his pressure, the surrounding immortal ingredients and immortal herbs bent and broke. The strongest demon king, who had his hands crossed in front of his chest, lowered them, his eyes calm as he looked at Bufong. The strongest demon king knew Bufong. One could even say that he had a deep impression of him. That time, it was because of Bufong that he had lost the opportunity to enter the Bronze Palace. However, fortunately, he had still stepped into the Heaven Chief realm. He had obtained power. Now that he saw Bufong, he felt that things were still the same, but people had changed. He and Bufong had stepped into the Heaven Chief realm at the same time. However, their experiences and encounters were completely different. It could be said that what he had experienced was a nightmare. However, it was this nightmarish experience that had created his current power and cultivation base. Of course, there was also the first Valley Master of the Valley of Gluttony, Lu Ma Bai, who had come with him. The latter had obtained the inheritance of the Nether Prison expert. Today, his cooking skills had skyrocketed, and he, the strongest demon king, had also become the Valley Master's protector. At first, I just wanted to watch you. Wait for Lu Ma Bai to come. However, seeing your paralyzed face, I changed my mind. The strongest demon king looked at Bufong, his bull nose fuming a mouthful of black smoke. Your paralyzed face really makes people feel disgusted. That's why I want to beat you up like a dead dog and bring you to Lu Ma Bai. Bufong stood up, clasping his hands. The vermilion robe on his body fluttered under the strongest demon king's pressure, making loud noises. Oh, you're still as hot-tempered as ever, Bufong said casually, clasping his hands. He didn't show any fear under the strongest demon king's pressure. The strongest demon king's mouth twitched. Then his feet tapped the ground. Boom! The entire plane seemed to tremble. A moment later, the strongest demon king's figure shot out. Shrinking the ground to inches, the ground constantly exploded. He suddenly appeared in front of Bufong. Raising his fist, he punched out. The terrifying fist wind blew, causing the hair on Bufong's forehead to flutter. But Bufong's face didn't change. In front of him, a white array emerged. A moment later, with a clanging sound, a pair of metal wings suddenly spread open. Lightning shot out from Xiao Bai's eyes. A war god's stick with lightning winding around it, which looked like a red-hot iron, instantly swung out. Chapter 1074. After Xiao Bai had swallowed so many lightning punishments, he had gradually become stronger. The red-hot metal rod was fiercely swung out, causing the air to sizzle as if it was burning. Lightning twirled, roaring like a dragon. Lightning flashed in Xiao Bai's mechanical eyes. The strongest Demon King's eyes were indifferent. He punched out, and pitch-black nether energy twirled around it, clashing with Xiao Bai's war god stick. Clanging sounds echoed unceasingly. After a loud explosion, a terrifying energy fluctuation spread out. It seemed to turn into a wave of ripples, scattering everywhere. The strongest Demon King's figure did not move, but Xiao Bai's figure was blown away. The war god stick was directly smashed into the sky. Boom! Xiao Bai landed in the distance. His figure flashed, and his legs plowed 2 ditches on the ground. The metal wings on his back flapped. Strong winds rose, and crushed stones flew everywhere. Bu Fong stood in the distance, clasping his hands as he watched indifferently. If Xiao Bai used all of his power, he should be around 4-star true immortal realm. However, facing the strongest Demon King, he seemed to be completely suppressed. However, Bu Fong was not in a hurry. Boom! An explosion resounded. Xiao Bai's feet stomped on the ground. The entire ground caved in, cracking open. At the same time, Xiao Bai's figure was like a cannonball, shooting out at high speed. Lightning shot out from the war god's stick. Lightning swept across, incomparably dazzling and dazzling. Your puppet is as familiar as ever. The strongest Demon King and Xiao Bai had fought before. Now, seeing Xiao Bai again, he felt a little familiar. Of course, he was also surprised by Xiao Bai's increase in power. Not enough. To the current him, Xiao Bai's increase was not enough to reach the apex. He took a deep breath. Nether energy twirled around the strongest Demon King's body. This nether energy was completely different from the nether energy he had encountered in the netherworld. No matter if it was the density of the nether energy or the pressure, it was not something the nether energy in the ruin prison could compare to. A fist contracted, then blasted out. The terrifying nether energy seemed to have transformed into a waterfall that poured down from the 9 heavens, rumbling incessantly. Thousands of strands of nether energy transformed into a fist that blotted out the sky. This punch was incomparably terrifying. The sand and stones on the ground were sent flying, constantly shattering. Xiao Bai's mechanical eyes twinkled as it swept the war god's stick horizontally. In an instant, the staff turned into a myriad. Countless rod shadows collided with the huge fist shadows that blotted out the sky. Bang! With a loud bang, Xiao Bai was sent flying again. A huge crater instantly appeared on the ground. The strongest Demon King wore a black robe and stood calmly in the middle of the deep pit. He raised his head and looked into the distance. His gaze landed on Xiao Bai, who was at the edge. Chi. White smoke rose from Xiao Bai's body, as though it couldn't bear the heavy burden. Human, I know you're a person with secrets. You could come to the Heaven Chief domain from the Hidden Dragon Continent. Moreover, you could live so well in the Heaven Chief domain. It's enough to prove that your secret isn't ordinary. The strongest Demon King said casually. However, no matter how extraordinary you are, you're just a human. Without the Earth Prison Dog's protection, you can't stop me with just this Earth immortal puppet. Swish, a cool breeze blew past. Instantly, the sand and stones on the ground rolled. The pebbles began to roll slowly. Xiao Bai straightened his body, waving the war god's stick once again. His target was the strongest Demon King in the distance. However, this time, the strongest Demon King didn't give Xiao Bai a chance to attack. A cow's mooing sound reverberated. With his body as the center, the nether energy revolved, rushing up to the sky. It turned into a whirlwind. In the next instant, in the sky, a giant cow hoof stomped down on Xiao Bai. The sky seemed to be about to be crushed at this moment. An incomparable pressure suddenly burst forth. The metal wings on Xiao Bai's back were pressed down so much that they couldn't even flap. Bu Fong furrowed his brows. The strength of the strongest Demon King had increased a little beyond his expectations. When he entered the Heaven Chief domain, the strongest Demon King was just at the peak of Divine Realm. However, after such a short time, he had reached this level of cultivation. Bufang couldn't see through him. However, this was good. Bufang's calm face suddenly showed a touch of excitement. The excitement on his face was a little strange. With the strength of the strongest Demon King, it was good for him to try new tricks. He exhaled softly, looking at Xiao by flapping his wings under the pressure of the strongest Demon King. Bufang's eyes twinkled. It seemed like he needed to cook more high-grade dishes to let Xiao Bai swallow more lightning. That way, Xiao Bai's fighting ability could quickly increase. However, before that, the corners of Bufang's mouth rose. In the next instant, he opened his mouth. Instantly, a ball of golden flame shot out from his mouth. The golden flame instantly dashed out, spinning rapidly on his palm. This was the Golden Lotus demonic flame. Holding the Golden Lotus demonic flame, Bufang brushed the flame on the cat head tiger head belt on his waist. There was a loud bang. The golden flame suddenly turned into a ball of white flame. A white flame lotus quietly floated up and down in Bufang's hand. The white tiger, the god of cooking set that specializes in killing. Have an illuminating flame. I hope it won't disappoint me, Bufang muttered. Then the vermilion robe on his body fluttered. The flaming wings on his back spread open, and flaming feathers fluttered. Bufang's eyes brightened as he quickly shot out. Like a fiery red vermilion bird, he carried a white lotus as he dashed toward the hoof of a bull that was trampling down from the sky. The strongest Demon King's eyes were like torches. He looked straight at Bufang. Looking at Bufang dashing toward him, he couldn't help but snort. Reckless human. Inside the blood-colored enchantment, a series of violent rumbles resounded. Then, on the enchantment wall, with a cracking sound, numerous cracks appeared. Once those cracks appeared, they began to spread at a speed visible to the naked eye. In an instant, they covered the entire enchantment. Boom! A loud explosion resounded. The enchantment suddenly shattered. And within that enchantment, a pitch-black figure single-handedly grabbed City Lord Lu's neck and dashed out, crashing onto the ground. City Lord Lu was pressed onto the ground by the transformed Feng Guanzhong. City Lord Lu's eyes shrank, feeling extreme disbelief. The true energy on his body wanted to attack Feng Guanzhong's hand, but that pitch-black nether energy continuously drilled into his body. It caused him to be completely unable to mobilize any true energy. His body stiffened. A chill enveloped him. Boom! City Lord Lu, who was pressed onto the ground, coughed out a mouthful of blood. However, Feng Guanzhong didn't show any mercy. Pressing City Lord Lu onto the ground, he fiercely pushed him forward. The last punch was thrown out. The ground deeply caved in. An explosion rose, and smoke and dust soared into the sky. City Lord Lu's white robe was completely torn and tattered. His eyes were a little lifeless, and blood flowed from his mouth and nose. His originally gentle and refined appearance was long gone. Too weak, Feng Guanzhong floated in the air, grinning. His skin was dark, and his white hair was like steel needles. Terrifying nether energy lingered around his body. In the distance, Zhou Lord's eyes widened, his body constantly trembling. He and Lu Zhandue had joined hands, but they were instantly defeated by Feng Guanzhong. How could it be? No matter what, the two of them were still City Lord-level experts. This Feng Guanzhong, what did he do to him? Pitch-black skin, white hair, red eyes. He didn't look like a human at all. Feng Guanzhong, you've turned yourself into a beast. Zhou Lord crawled up from the ground. Pinching his thumb and middle finger, he roared. Feng Guanzhong's eyes indifferently swept through Zhou Lord's, the corners of his mouth curling into a cold smile. Beast? No, it's just an evolution to a higher life form. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, a sonic boom reverberated. Feng Guanzhong's pitch-black figure appeared in front of Zhou Lord's. The terrifying pressure and aura caused City Lord Zou's eyes to suddenly shrink. You! Zou Lords opened his mouth, preparing to shout. However, City Lord Feng's fist appeared like lightning. Zou Lord's eyes shrank, frightened. Too fast. His attack speed was too fast. The Black Walk blocked in front of Zou Lord's. However, what happened next made Zou Lord's eyes pop out of their sockets. That Black Walk was smashed by Zou Lord's fist. City Lord Zou was also sent flying, spurting out a mouthful of blood. After swallowing your Qilin chef hearts, my power will advance further, and I'll completely evolve to a higher life form. Moreover, I'll get enough energy and resources to break through to the high-grade Qilin chef realm. In my remaining years, I even have a chance to break through to the divine chef realm. Feng Guanzhong's eyes were filled with longing. He clutched his chest, getting more excited as he talked. All of a sudden, his eyes narrowed. Looking into the distance, over there, City Lord Liu, who had been severely injured, slowly stood up. Above his head was a curtain of stars. Starlight twinkled unceasingly. Rays of starlight shone down from above. It was as if a prairie fire was burning. A beast like you wants to become a high-grade Qilin chef. What virtue do you have? City Lord Liu said indifferently. He burned his own origin soul, the origin soul of a true immortal realm expert. As his origin soul was burned, his power began to rise continuously, and his oppressive aura constantly burst forth. His hair fluttered, and his white robe shone brightly. At this moment, he looked like a peerless beauty. Zou Lord's face was full of embarrassment. Looking at Liu Zhande burning his origin soul, his eyes trembled, and his nose turned sour. Even if you burn your origin soul, you can't stop me. Feng Guanzhong's eyes narrowed. In the next instant, a sonic boom instantly exploded. He instantly appeared in front of Liu Zhande. Boom, boom, boom. Tens of thousands of fist shadows smashed towards City Lord Liu. However, out of Feng Guanzhong's expectations, City Lord Liu actually blocked every move. Swish, his white robe fluttered. City Lord Liu's figure landed gracefully, landing in front of Zou Lord's. You leave first. I'll hold him back. You have to tell the Realm Lord, City Lord Liu said simply. Zou Lord's eyes were a little complicated. Leave quickly. City Lord Liu glanced at Zou Lord's, calmly saying. Zou Lord's clenched his fists, his heart mournful. Go. City Lord Liu roared, causing Zou Lord's body to tremble. In the next instant, Zou Lord's resolutely soared into the sky, turning into a stream of light as he shot into the distance. Want to leave? Feng Guanzhong's red eyes shrank. Creating a sonic boom, he chased after Zou Lord's. However, halfway, he was blocked by the white-robed City Lord Liu. Your current opponent is me, City Lord Liu said. Remember to take revenge for me. In the distance, Zou Lord's body instantly trembled. In the next instant, he resolutely left. And behind him, City Lord Liu and Feng Guanzhong were fighting. Terrifying energy soared into the sky, dazzling. A wave of light flashed. In the transportation array, Lord Go, Realm Lord Dit, and City Lord Mengshi appeared one after another. As soon as they appeared, they lifted their heads, looking at the sky in the distance. There, the heaven tree swayed, emitting the sound of the great path. Waves of energy ripples spread out. The second will of the great path is spreading. It's starting. Realm Lord Dit squinted, looking at the swaying heaven tree in the distance, emitting thousands of rays of light. Stroking his golden hair, he said, Lord Go stood in the void, walking his enchanting cat-like steps. His brows furrowed. His dog nose twitched in the void. Then his eyes focused. Seems like we're late. That guy has already started to take action. Chapter 1075. Several hundred miles away from the center of the heaven tree, Shui Yao and the other two, who were hurrying on their way, suddenly looked serious. Because in their line of sight, the heaven tree was swaying nonstop, and mysterious fluctuations spread out from it. These fluctuations seemed to have someone singing, causing waves of the great paths to rumble. Invisible ripples spread out. Wherever they passed, immortal ingredients and spirit herbs swayed. Shui Yao and the others were a little confused. They didn't expect the second great path's voice to spread out at this time. However, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they really didn't want to miss it. Let's comprehend. If we can use this great path to break through to the second great heaven chief realm, the black-cloaked man naturally won't dare to have a chef challenge with us. After all, the gap between an immortal chef and a second great heaven chief is quite big. Meng Kuan gritted his teeth and said he didn't want to move forward anymore. After all, now that the great paths had spread out, if they missed this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it would be hard for them to encounter such a chance to break through again. They couldn't afford such a loss. Feng Xian didn't have any objections. He didn't want to run anymore. Who knew if the black-cloaked man was chasing them or not? If they lost the best chance to comprehend the great path and break through to the second great heaven chief realm because of a black-cloaked man who didn't chase after them, they would definitely be extremely annoyed. Thus, since they had made their choice, they naturally didn't hesitate anymore. They sat cross-legged under the great path's will, beginning to comprehend the changes of the great path. As layers of ripples spread out, covering their bodies. It was as if their bodies had been twisted by the force. After twisting, their bodies became clear. As the great paths flowed through their bodies, dots of light shot out from Shui Yao and the others' bodies. At this moment, they had some questions about the culinary path that they didn't understand, but at this moment they all understood. Their faces were filled with ecstasy, immersed in the great path's infiltration, unable to extricate themselves, however. Not far from them, the black-cloaked man played with a pitch-black kitchen knife, slowly walking over. Under the black robe, his eyes revealed a playful look, as if he was a cat chasing a mouse. His eyes lifted, involuntarily falling on the three people who were sitting cross-legged on the ground. Comprehending the great paths finally found them. The black-robed man muttered softly. Rumbling sounds could be heard. Terrifying fluctuations spread out in an instant. The entire ground seemed to have been renovated and was completely shattered. A huge crater appeared on the ground. White steam rose from the deep pit. At the center of the crater, there was another small crater. There was a figure standing beside the crater. His pitch-black skin was filled with savagery, and his entire body was surrounded by black nether energy. Every wisp of nether energy seemed to weigh more than 10,000 kilograms, as if it was going to crush the air. Feng Guanzhong stood at the edge of the small hole, blood dripping from his hand. Hot blood slid down his hand. A silver heart was beating continuously in his hand. Every time it beat, a surge of true energy would surge out from it. Qilin Chef's heart. It's really something that makes people intoxicated. Feng Guanzhong stuck out his tongue, licking his lips. He stuffed the entire heart into his mouth. Just like before, he continuously swallowed it into his stomach. As the Qilin Chef's heart entered his stomach, the aura on Feng Guanzhong's body became even more stagnant. Terrifying energy wrapped around his body. Swinging his hand, Feng Guanzhong's appearance slowly changed back. His eyes turned to look at the deep crater. It was as if he had crossed 1,000 miles in an instant, landing on the Zhou lords, who were running away in panic. Running? I've said it before. Even if you burn your origin soul, you can't stop me. Boom! With a loud explosion, the deep crater exploded again. Feng Guanzhong's figure constantly flashed in the air, creating waves of sonic booms as he chased after the Zhou lords. In the deep crater, a broken figure was lying on it silently. Around the small crater, there were some tattered pieces of a white robe fluttering. The wind blew, and the pieces of the white robe fluttered with the wind, scattering on the ground. It was as if the wind was blowing a little sorrow and sorrow. The soaring cow hoof stomped down from the sky. It was as if it wanted to shatter the entire sky. Terrifying fluctuations spread out from it. Under that cow hoof, Xiaobai found it a little difficult to resist. Lightning constantly shot out from his mechanical eyes. The pair of metal wings flapped with difficulty, stirring up strong winds as he tried to resist this cow hoof. Xiao Bai could resist a 4-star, true immortal realm expert. But facing this strongest demon king, it was incomparably strenuous. He was almost completely suppressed. Hence, Bufang guessed that this strongest demon king's cultivation could be around 6-star, true immortal realm, or even stronger. However, even if it was like this, Bufang did not have the slightest intention of retreating. He wanted to try his new move. The attack from the newest god of cooking set, the White Tiger Heaven Stove. The heaven illuminating flame, which had fused with the golden lotus demonic flame, turned into a white flame lotus, constantly spinning in Bufang's palm. The terrifying heat rapidly condensed in Bufang's palm. Then Bufang stomped down with his foot. His figure suddenly shot out, and his scarlet vermilion robe fluttered in the wind because he was running at full speed. The White Tiger's tool spirit had once said that the heaven-illuminating flame could burn anything. However, that was the heaven-illuminating flame that had matured and fused with many other flames. Today, Bufang had only grasped the basics of the White Tiger Heaven Stove, so he did not understand how to use the heaven-illuminating flame. However, he was very curious about the use of the White Tiger Heaven Stove, as well as the power of the heaven-illuminating flame. Hence, he used his full strength. As Bufang's only attack method, Bufang's heart was very curious. The monstrous nether energy turned into a whirlpool that spun. It seemed to have turned into a cow hoof that soared into the sky, smashing down on Bufang. The strongest demon king's gaze focused on Bufang. He could clearly see through Bufang's cultivation. He was just a 1-star true immortal realm expert. If it was before the strongest demon king entered the Heaven Chief realm, a 1-star true immortal realm expert was a supreme existence. However, to the current Bufang, a 1-star true immortal realm expert could be killed with a flip of his hand. And in his eyes, Bufang was an ant that could be killed with a flip of his hand. This kind of ant was charging at him. In his eyes, he was an idiot who did not know life from death. He completely did not recognize what power was. To this kind of idiot, only death would make him regret it. It was as if a heaven-shaking cow's moo resounded. Boom! Finally, the cow hoof landed. It charged toward Bufang. Bufang rushed to Xiao Bai's side, giving Xiao Bai a look. Then, with a move of his mind, a dazzling golden light instantly burst forth, shooting toward Xiao Bai. As for him, the flaming wings on his back spread open. Flames soared into the sky, and thousands of scarlet feathers fluttered. In his hand, he was holding a white flame lotus. The flame lotus slowly revolved. Bufang stood under the cow hoof, exhaling. Raising his head, he threw the white flame lotus, smashing it toward the cow hoof. Swish! The white lotus rapidly shot out. Its speed was not fast, slowly floating. However, shortly after, it landed on the cow hoof. The strongest demon king sneered disdainfully. How could a small celestial fire withstand his attack? Soon, this flame lotus would be like a small wave in the vast sea, drowning in the raging waves. This human was too weak. All of a sudden, the strongest demon king's eyes narrowed. He looked into the distance. There, a beam of golden light, accompanied by a roar, soared into the sky. Lightning crackled in the air. The metal wings on Xiao Bai's back spread open. Holding the war god stick, he looked at the strongest demon king standing in the nether energy vortex. Under Xiao Bai's feet was a giant mantis shrimp that looked like it was made of gold. The mantis shrimp was like a golden shuttle, darting through the air with extreme speed. It was Xiaopi, the Xiaopi that Bufang had thrown into the heaven and earth farmland to nourish. Xiaopi had completely awakened, and his power had slowly increased. Of course, compared to the strongest demon king, he was still far behind. However, today, Xiaopi also had a true immortal realm cultivation base. Thus, his movement speed was really fast. Xiaopi's specialty was speed, like a golden shuttle. This combination is so familiar. The strongest demon king muttered. When he was still in the hidden dragon continent, he had suffered a loss in the hands of this combination. Of course, the current him was fearless. First, he would deal with Buffon. Then, he would deal with this odd combination. An earth immortal puppet riding a mantis shrimp? It was simply a circus. Boom! All of a sudden, the strongest demon king's heart jumped. His eyes turned, looking at the place where the cow hoof had landed. His pupils constricted as soon as he saw what was inside. A terrifying fluctuation instantly exploded. An ice-cold wave swept over like a hurricane. His hooves were rapidly frozen by the cold hurricane. Ice crystals covered them with a ka-ka-ka sound. What is this? The strongest demon king sucked in a breath of cold air. It actually froze his attack. What was happening? Boom! After the cold wave, a wave of heat came. White flames shot up into the sky, spreading from under the cow hoof, turning into a huge flaming lotus. That flaming lotus spun, covering the cow hoof. Ice and fire collided. A loud explosion rang out. A terrifying explosion erupted. In the next instant, the strongest demon king's cow hoof attack suddenly shattered. The strongest demon king, who was in the pitch-black energy storm, also felt a huge wave of explosive force coming at him. His entire body was instantly blown away by this wave of energy. His figure flipped in the air, landing hard on the ground. Only then was he able to dissipate the terrifying explosive force. This was done by that one-star, true, immortal realm human. Looking at that terrifying, destructive power, the strongest demon king instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. Luckily, he had hidden far away. If he had been in the center of that white flame, he would have been heavily injured by the collision of ice and fire. However, the strongest demon king's joy did not last for long. He suddenly felt a sizzling sound behind his head. He suddenly turned his head. A wave of terrifying mental energy spread out. Then he saw Buffon. He saw that the human was holding a spinning white flame lotus in his hand, calmly looking at him. The strongest demon king met Buffon's eyes. His mind exploded, and he fell into a daze. The golden divine dragon swayed and roared. The black tortoise roared. The vermilion bird cried, and a soul-shaking tiger roar. Heaven illuminating flame. Explode. Buffon exhaled, calmly saying. In the next instant, that spinning flame lotus smashed toward the strongest demon king's head. In an instant, the strongest demon king felt as though the entire world was covered by a scorching and ice-cold white flame. Inside that white flame, a tiger-headed stove kept enlarging in his eyes. Chapter 1076. Zoolords flew for thousands of miles, getting closer and closer to the heaven tree. However, his heart continued to sink. He raised his hand to cover his mouth, grief and tears appearing in his eyes. He never would have thought that Feng Guanzhong's strength would actually become so strong. Most importantly, he and Lu Zhandue never would have thought that Feng Guanzhong would actually be savage enough to make a move in the space of the heaven tree. Moreover, it was against two Heaven Chief Realms city lords. Feng Guanzhong, this bastard, was he really addicted to killing city lords? He was the one who killed City Lord Shui, and now he actually wanted to make a move against him and Lu Zhandue? This kind of bastard, he deserved to die a horrible death. However, no matter how much he cursed Feng Guanzhong in his heart, Zoolords was very clear that Lu Zhandue was most likely dead. Burning his origin soul was the same as burning his soul. Although he could temporarily obtain great power, once the power disappeared, it meant that he wasn't far from death. After Feng Guanzhong transformed, he was like an ancient beast. That kind of power was something Zoolords had never seen before. Therefore, Lu Zhandue's chances of survival were very slim. Thinking about this, Zoolords became even sadder, so sad that it was hard to breathe. Right now, he only wanted to hurry to the location of the Heaven Tree and spread the news of Feng Guanzhong. He wanted the Realm Lord to know and punish this bastard. The distance to the heaven tree was getting closer. That incomparably clear will of the way of the heavens surged out, constantly surging through his body, causing the sorrow on his face to slightly ease. The injuries on his body were also a little better. However, before he could let out a sigh of relief, Zolords felt his body stiffen. It was a kind of body stiffening from being wrapped by a cold and gloomy aura. He turned his head to look in disbelief. There Feng Guanzhong had already recovered his human form, stepping on the air. However, as Feng Guanzhong stepped on the air, there were rolling black clouds behind him. The black clouds pressed down on the city, threatening to destroy it. As the black clouds approached, a terrifying pressure also came. It was as if a majestic city was pressing down on them, causing their hearts to stop beating. City Lord Zhou looked at the sky and felt the boundless pressure. His complexion turned deathly pale. Feng Guanzhong caught up so quickly. What did this mean? This meant that Lu Zhandue was already dead. The one with the surname Lu died just like that. The Zhou Lord's eyes were filled with sorrow. Looking at Feng Guanzhong, who was walking through the air, the pressure on his body seemed to have disappeared. His entire person sank into confusion and sluggishness. In the distance, Feng Guanzhong put his hands behind his back, the robe on his body moving without any wind under the pressure. His gaze was like a torch, crossing thousands of miles to stare at the dazed Zhou Lords. Another Qilin chef's heart. Sticking out his tongue and licking his lips, Feng Guanzhong's eyes revealed excitement. He sniffed the air like a cat that smelled blood, and his eyes narrowed slightly. He took a step forward. Shrinking the ground into an inch, he quickly closed in. Zhou Jieluan, give up. Don't run. You can't escape. Feng Guanzhong's voice reverberated in the sky. It made the mournful Zhou Lords suddenly surprised. It was hard to suppress the sorrow in his eyes. The Zhou Lords pinched the orchid, pointing it at Feng Guanzhong in the sky. You bastard. You won't die a good death. I won't die a good death, but you have to die now. Feng Guanzhong laughed. In the next instant, he was like a cannonball, speeding towards the Zhou Lords. The Zhou Lords did not hesitate at all. Turning around, he dashed towards the heaven tree. One was fleeing, while the other was chasing. Boundless black clouds rumbled and transformed into a malevolent maw, swallowing towards City Lord Zhou, who was flying at the front. This scene, it was incomparably shocking. Shui Yao and the other two, who were sitting not far from the heaven tree, were instantly awakened by this commotion. They opened their eyes. Looking at the terrifying scene in the sky, their hearts shivered. What happened? Shui Yao found that her voice was a little shaky, stammering as she asked. Feng Xian's eyes shrank, gazing at the sky, at the figure in front of the black clouds with his earth-shaking pressure. His face couldn't help but look excited. It's City Lord Feng, our Feng family's protector. Shui Yao and Meng Kuan couldn't help but shiver. Why is City Lord Feng here? The fifth layer's City Lord. The two of them looked at each other, both feeling a little surprised. However, they didn't pay much attention to it. Now that a City Lord had appeared here, they felt a bit more at ease. With a City Lord expert here, they should be safe. After all, the City Lord expert existed to protect the Heaven Tree space. Thus, Meng Kuan and the others calmed down, sitting cross-legged once again, starting to break through to the level 2 Heaven Chief realm. With a calm mind, they felt that they should be able to break through to the level 2 Heaven Chief realm. However, just as they were mobilizing the spirit energy of heaven and earth, preparing to break through to the level 2 Heaven Chief realm, a faint laughter suddenly rang out. Then Shui Yao opened her eyes in fright. Her eyes were filled with fear. In the distance, a black-cloaked figure clasped his hands, appearing neither fast nor slow. A mocking gaze shot out from under the black cloak, landing on the three of them. Are you ready to have a chef's challenge with me? The black-cloaked figure chuckled. Feng Xian opened his eyes, shooting out light as he shouted, The City Lord is here. How dare you be so presumptuous? With the Feng family's old ancestor here, he was very confident. Oh, so tough? The black-cloaked figure chuckled. Then he slowly lifted his head, looking at the sky. "Are you talking about that guy in the sky?" "Sorry. He's my man," the black-cloaked figure said casually. The black-cloaked figure's words were filled with mockery and ridicule, causing Shui Yao and the others to stiffen. As if to match the black-cloaked figure's words, in the sky, Feng Guanzhong, who was walking with his hands clasped behind his back, paused for a moment. His eyes glanced down, seeing the black-cloaked figure, and he nodded. Then, he continued to move forward, chasing after the Zhou Lords. This performance made Feng Xin and the others feel even more despair. How could it be like this? Boom! Flames soared to the sky, filling everything. The cold and fiery flames swept out. A huge flaming lotus suddenly exploded. The sky full of flames made the strongest demon king let out an angry roar. This flame was like a bone maggot, hard to expel. The nether energy in the strongest demon king's body trembled, wanting to extinguish these flames. However, what shocked him was that the nether energy was actually burned by the flames. The nether energy can even burn. What kind of flame is this? Immortal flame? The strongest demon king's pupil shrank, sucking in a breath of cold air. However, what shocked him was not over yet. Boom! A scarlet-red light bloomed. Then, in front of the strongest demon king's eyes, a pair of flaming wings spread open, and flaming feathers fluttered. The sleeves fluttered. Bufang expressionlessly looked at the strongest demon king, his hand brushing past his waist. Instantly, that belt changed, turning into a tiger head stove. The tiger's mouth opened wide, looking incomparably fierce. A heaven-piercing roar rang out, causing the strongest demon king to be dumbfounded. Terrifying mental energy instantly exploded, turning into heaven-reaching ripples that spread out. It enveloped the strongest demon king. What is this thing? A stove? The strongest demon king came back to his senses and let out a shrill cry. In the next instant, a fist flew towards the stove that Bufang was smashing. The fist continuously became bigger. In the end, in his eyes, the tiger head stove, which was continuously enlarging, collided. That stove was as white as jade, and it was unknown what material it was made of. The strongest demon king's fist landed on it, and his face instantly changed. Boom! With his body as the center, the flaming lotus rushed out. The strongest demon king was actually smashed into the ground by a stove. He was smashed from the sky, crashing onto the ground, causing the entire ground to explode. The white tiger stove suddenly turned into a huge house. From afar, it looked like a huge, crouching white tiger. Bufang used his mental energy to guide it. In the next instant, he reached out, pressing on the white tiger heaven stove. Then, the white tiger heaven stove was lifted by Bufang. The strongest demon king popped his head out from under the stove, letting out an extremely angry roar. He was actually smashed to the ground by this weak human using a stove. However, his roar suddenly stopped, because Bufang had lifted the stove and smashed it towards him, who was lying on the ground. Boom! The ground suddenly trembled and cracked. The strongest demon king was smashed to the point where he spat out a mouthful of blood. Both of his hands fiercely pressed against the stove, forcefully lifting the heavy stove. Damn it! The strongest demon king's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. All of a sudden, his eyes froze, because he realized that Bufang's hand, which was pressing against the huge stove, flashed. A pitch-black turtle constellation walk appeared. Of course, he was very familiar with that black turtle constellation walk. The black turtle constellation walk continuously spun in Bufang's hand. Whistling sounds rang out. The corners of Bufang's mouth twitched. His gaze landed on the strongest demon king, who was struggling to support the white tiger heaven stove. In the next instant, he fiercely raised the black turtle constellation walk. Boom! A black walk directly smashed onto the strongest demon king's face. It was a simple slap to the face. The strongest demon king's face was almost smashed. Blood spurted out from his nose. Puffed! The strongest demon king was so angry that he vomited blood. What was this stove? It actually suppressed him to the point where he couldn't move. He felt as though he was lifting this stove, as though he was lifting a white tiger that could cover the sky. That depression really made the strongest demon king's heart feel stifled. The killing power of the white tiger heaven stove. Is this all you've got? Bufong furrowed his brows. Looking at the strongest demon king who was struggling, he couldn't help but twitch his mouth. In his spirit's sea, the white tiger, who was lying in a corner, suddenly opened its eyes, and a formless tiger roar exploded. A cold and arrogant voice instantly rang out in Bufong's ears. Now, you can use the heaven-illuminating flame on his head. Let's see if he can still endure it. Bufong was slightly taken aback by the words that suddenly rang out. These words should have been said by that cold and arrogant white tiger. However, it did seem to make some sense. Bufong nodded his head, keeping the black turtle constellation walk. The strongest demon king's face was filled with confusion. Blood spurted out from his nose and mouth. In the next instant, he looked at the distant Bufong, spitting out a ball of golden fire lotus. The fire lotus transformed, turning into a dense white fire lotus. The corner of his mouth instantly twitched. He had seen the power of this fire lotus. If he let this fire lotus hit his face, that sour feeling. Just thinking about it made him feel like he was about to pee. A long roar rang out. The black robe on the strongest demon king's body instantly exploded. His eyes instantly turned blood red. However, the dense white fire lotus in Bufong's hand had already been thrown out. It drew an elegant arc, smashing towards the strongest demon king's head. If it hit, it would definitely bloom. Chapter 1077. Zolord sped away. As he rapidly approached the vicinity of the immortal tree, he quickly saw an exquisite palace beneath the immortal tree. City Lord Zou's eyes were filled with hope when he saw the great hall. The true energy on his body expanded, and his speed suddenly increased. He turned into a jet of light, descending toward the Heaven Tree's palace. That palace contained the will of the great path of the Heaven Chief Realm, and the will of the great path that constantly diffused came from that palace. The area around the Heaven Tree was forbidden for flying. Thus, Zolords couldn't land in front of that palace. He could only descend when he got close to the palace. However, he wasn't far from the Heaven Tree. Behind him, the dark clouds rapidly attacked, quickly covering Zolord's figure, making Zolord's breath stop. Without hesitation, Zolords didn't choose to fight with Feng Guanzhong, because he knew that he wasn't Feng Guanzhong's opponent. His top-grade immortal tool was destroyed. Now, he could only run for his life. The only way was to spread the news that Feng Guanzhong was in the space of the Heaven Tree. Boom! Zolord sped away. He was a little panicked. He was really panicking, because he could feel Feng Guanzhong's terrifying aura coming closer. This aura caused all the hairs on his body to stand on end. He couldn't even pinch his thumb and middle finger. Feng Guanzhong's eyes were like torches. With both hands clasped behind his back, he slowly approached. He wasn't hurried or slow, forcing Zolords into a dead end. The Heaven Tree Palace? A cold smile appeared on Feng Guanzhong's face. It was useless. The space of the Heaven Tree couldn't save Zolords. Boom! His figure was like a shooting star, dashing toward the ground. With a loud bang, he landed in front of Zolords. Smoke and dust soared into the sky. City Lord Zou sucked in a breath of cold air. Looking at the unbridled Feng Guanzhong, his entire body turned cold. It was forbidden to fly around the Heaven Tree, but Feng Guanzhong actually flew and landed without any scruples. Did this guy no longer view the Heaven Tree as his religion? He slowly turned around. Feng Guanzhong's indifferent gaze landed on Zolords, whose chest was heaving up and down. Zolords was badly injured and was not in a good state. His entire body tensed up, being stared at by Feng Guanzhong. He felt as though he was being targeted as prey. Feng Guanzhong, you're really crazy. Zolords panted coldly. Feng Guan's face didn't turn red, and his heart didn't jump. He was in a good state. He sneered at Zoe Lords and let out a sigh. Then, his figure appeared in front of Zoe Lords as though he had shrunk the ground to an inch. "Do you want to go to the Heaven Tree Palace to ask for help?" Feng Guanzhong raised his hand, pointing at the space between Zoe Lord's brows. There was a roar. A terrifying wave of energy exploded. Zoe Lords instantly felt as though his body was hit by a terrifying force. He was immediately sent flying, and his figure tumbled several times in the air before falling to the ground, leaving a ditch on the ground. "Too bad. As long as I stop you before you enter the Heaven Tree Palace, you can't do anything," Feng Guanzhong said. "If you do this, you won't have a good ending. The Realm Lord will know your crime. At that time, you will be banished from the Heaven Chief Realm." Zoe Lord said angrily. "The Realm Lord already knows what I've done. At this moment, he might be looking for me in the 5th layer of the Heaven Chief Realm. However, he would never have thought that I would appear in the space of the Heaven Tree." Feng Guanzhong laughed, feeling the pleasure of fooling around with the Realm Lord. Moreover, so what if he knows? Not long after, the Heaven Chief Realm will become my home. Even if it's the Realm Lord, I won't be afraid. Feng Guanzhong's face was incomparably ferocious. Then, under the Zoe Lord's gaze, something changed. His hair became pitch black, and his skin became tanned. His eyes became scarlet, like a savage beast. A terrifying aura diffused, making Zoe Lords feel a sense of danger. Boom! A sonic boom resounded. Feng Guanzhong disappeared from his spot. In the next instant, he appeared, punching out. Zoe Lord's eyes shrank, both of his hands instantly placed on his chest. The sound of bones shattering resounded. Zoe Lords spurted blood, flying backward. He fell at a spot, his aura extremely weak. He struggled to get up, but Feng Guanzhong's attack hit him again. A terrifying wave of air instantly expanded. City Lord Zoe felt as if all his limbs and bones had already shattered. He couldn't move at all. It seemed he was going to die. In the end, he couldn't complete what that surnamed Lu asked him to do. City Lord Zoe felt a bit of sorrow in his heart. It was he who had failed to live up to the hopes of the surnamed Lu. After transforming, Feng Guanzhong looked at Zoe Lords, who couldn't resist at all. Gradually, a cold smile appeared on his face. Slowly walking, he appeared in front of Zoe Lords. "Now, let me experience the feeling of harvest," Feng Guanzhong said. He opened his mouth, revealing a mouthful of sharp teeth. Then, he raised a finger. On his finger, his sharp nails instantly emitted cold light. His red eyes revealed a greedy look. His fingernails fell, stabbing towards Zoe Lord's chest. Swoosh! That sharp finger slashed open City Lord Zoe's chest. Blood gushed out. Just as Feng Guanzhong was about to take another step to dig out the Qilin chef's heart from Zoe Lord, suddenly, he felt a wave of terrifying aura attacking him. Feng Guanzhong's eyes shrank. Then swoosh! Feng Guanzhong's figure seemed to teleport, disappearing from his spot. When he reappeared, he was far away. In the sky, a finger fell down and landed in front of Feng Guanzhong. That finger was the same one he had used to cut open City Lord Zoe's chest. Boom! A swishing sound rang out. A silhouette slowly emerged. His golden hair fluttered in the wind. His naked body was covered in a long robe. The robe was tilted 45 degrees, which made him look very handsome. Of course, that was if one did not look at the holy light emitting from his naked lower body. "I finally caught up. You bastard who betrayed the Heaven Chief Realm. It's time to punish you." Realm Lord Dit's sharp eyes shot out from his golden bangs, looking straight at Feng Guanzhong, who had transformed into a demon in the distance. On the ground, Zoe Lords looked at the Realm Lord with a dazed face. He suddenly had an urge to cry. He knew he was saved. City Lord Meng Qi dashed over from afar. Looking at Zoe Lords whose bones were broken, her face instantly became very ugly. Feng Guanzhong's eyes fell on Realm Lord Dit and City Lord Meng Qi, who was flying over from afar. His scarlet tongue stuck out, long and curved. "TSK, TSK, TSK. Now all the Qilin chef's hearts are here. Perfect." The heaven-illuminating fire lotus exploded. Bufong seemed to feel the faint sorrow from the strongest demon king. The white tiger heaven stove was incomparably heavy, and its oppression was very strong. The flames exploded. The white tiger heaven stove instantly fell to the ground. It turned into a stream of light, dashing to Bufong's side, binding Bufong's waist. The flames burned fiercely, not stopping for a long time. The heaven-illuminating fire lotus exploded on the strongest demon king's face. One could imagine how uncomfortable it was for the strongest demon king. He was afraid that at this moment, he would have been heavily injured by the explosion. Even if he didn't die, he would still lose a layer of skin. The white tiger heaven stove's killing move was really interesting. It seemed to suppress everything. Even the strongest demon king, whose true energy cultivation was higher than Bufong's, was suppressed. Together with the black turtle constellation walk and the heaven-illuminating flame, it was simply the enemy's nightmare. Sizzle! Suddenly, Bufong furrowed his brows. On the ground, in the ruins, a figure slowly crawled up from the ground. Only a human figure was left. The black robe covering his body had been burned to ashes, revealing his body. Looking at the strongest demon king's body, Bufong instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. Thump! The sound of a heartbeat rang out. Bufong's gaze landed on the strongest demon king's chest. There, a blood-colored gem was embedded. That gem was beating like a heart, and densely packed lines spread out with the gem as the center, covering the entire body. What is this? Bufong was incomparably shocked. The strongest demon king's body did not have this thing before. Bufong could feel that the dense and heavy nether energy came from this gem. The strongest demon king's body had also been modified by this nether energy. The strongest demon king's face became extremely sinister. It was as though the secret he had hidden for a long time had been torn open in this moment. "You human, you deserve to die." The strongest demon king roared. Even his voice changed. Boom! In the next instant, the aura on the strongest demon king's body continued to surge, reaching an extremely terrifying level. Under his aura, the illusionary void began to distort. His eyes emitted a blood-red color, and blood energy rushed to the heavens. Rip! It was like the sound of muscles breaking apart. The strongest demon king's figure became huge and malevolent, turning into a huge black demon bull with half a horn broken off. The demon bull, which was like a towering mountain, spat out a high temperature from its nostrils. Its eyes stared at Bufong. As its hooves landed, the entire space shook. Boom! 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 The sound of a bull's mooing reverberated through the entire space of the heaven tree. In the next instant, the strongest demon king raised his horn, charging towards Bufong. As the bull's horn rose, the illusionary void shattered. Wherever the bull's horn passed, everything was rapidly torn apart. Bufong's eyes involuntarily shrank. This was the strongest demon king's true body? In the next instant, Bufong's hand touched the tiger-headed belt. Instantly, a tiger-headed stove floated above his head. Light flashed. The dragon bone knife in his left hand, the black turtle constellation walk in his right hand, the white tiger stove on his head, and the vermilion robe on his body. Bufong's eyes focused, and his mental energy boiled. At this moment, he went all out. The sound of the bull's mooing spread. The black-cloaked man's eyes flashed, his brows furrowing. Then, he seemed to have thought of something, feeling a little flustered and exasperated. This stupid bull. Did he make the first move? Didn't I tell him to just watch over Bufong? The guy who can't do anything but spoils things. The black-cloaked man cursed under his breath. Then, he turned his head to look at Shui Yao, Meng Kuan, and Feng Xian. He didn't say much. Raising his hand, the pitch-black kitchen knife slashed across his palm. Blood instantly flowed from the wound on his palm. Soon, it turned into an array. The array expanded, covering the three shivering Shui Yao and the others. Terrifying fluctuations instantly filled the air. The game of cat and mouse has ended. I'm in a hurry. The three of you can come at me together. This chef's challenge is not up to you. The black-cloaked man grabbed the black kitchen knife. There was a blood-colored gem embedded in the middle of the knife. The gem was beating like a heart. The hood was lifted. A young face was revealed. His face was covered with blood-colored lines. A scarlet tongue stuck out, licking the blood on the kitchen knife. This youth's gaze landed on the three people in the distance. Shui Yao and the others were already shaken. This black-cloaked man finally showed his face. However, in the eyes of Shui Yao and the others, this face was like a demon. Chapter 1078. The black-cloaked man showed his face. His face was clearly exposed in the air. Just looking at it would cause one's body to be filled with a chill. It was a young face, but it was covered with malevolent lines. Those lines were blood red, spreading from the neck to the whole face. He looked like a devil. The young man's hair was white, and his eyes were strangely red, like a devil walking out of the abyss. Extremely terrifying. Shui Yao and the other two looked into Lu Mabai's eyes. They felt as if their bodies were entangled by terrifying cold chains. Their bodies froze, trembling uncontrollably. The surrounding blood-red magic array enveloped them, making it impossible for them to escape. Chef's challenge? You alone against the three of us? Meng Kuan gritted his teeth, lights swirling in his eyes. The young man chuckled and nodded. As he smiled, the blood-red lines on his face seemed to come alive, constantly shaking and jumping. What? Do you think there's hope? Lu Mabai chuckled. He stroked the blood-red lines on his face, his eyes showing traces of intoxication. This mystical energy allowed his culinary talent to reach an extremely terrifying level, allowing him to obtain extremely terrifying power. Moreover, it had made him younger. Today, he was no longer the Lu Mabai who would lose to Bu Fong in a cooking competition in the Hidden Dragon continent. Today, he was not inferior to the three monstrous Heaven Chief contestants in the Chef's Challenge. You're pushing us too far. Do you really think the three of us are ants that you can squash as you please? Meng Kuan gritted his teeth, his anger soaring. Feng Xian lowered his hands. His mind flickered, and a bright, deep blue wok appeared in front of him. Come on then. It's either you die or we die. A guy like you won't have a good ending. Feng Xian said coldly. Shui Yao did not say anything. She just pouted, her slender hand holding a dark green kitchen knife, her eyes fixed on Lu Mabai. Lu Mabai was the second place in the Heaven Chief competition, crushing Lu Yi. However, after all, the three of them were among the top 10 in the Heaven Chief competition and had their own pride. If it was a chef's challenge, even Lu Yi wouldn't dare to fight 1 against 3. Lu Mabai actually dared to choose to fight 1 against 3. From her point of view, this might be their chance. Boom! Flames soared into the sky. In the next instant, their auras exploded like dragons. Lu Mabai looked at the three of them mockingly. The pitch-black kitchen knife in his hand suddenly trembled, and a mocking laughter seemed to spread out from the kitchen knife. I love crushing people like you who have hope the most. I love seeing your despair when your hope is shattered. Lu Mabai grinned. Then, pitch-black nether energy rose from his body. Today, I will let you experience the delicacies of the nether prison. Boom! The blood-colored formation suddenly began to spin. In the next moment, a bloody light soared into the sky and transformed into numerous blood dragons that enveloped the 4 of them. The sound of a bull's moo resounded through the world. The entire illusionary void seemed to tremble and shatter. After the strongest demon king had experienced the suppression of the white tiger heaven stove, he had actually transformed into a huge true body. That body was embedded with a huge blood-red gem. That gem was beating like a heart. Every time it beat, a terrifying energy would flow out from it. The black bull, which was like a majestic mountain, had scarlet red eyes that were filled with brutality. Out of the 2 bull horns, one was broken in half. Black energy that weighed tens of thousands of pounds revolved around his body. The strongest demon king, who had transformed into his true body, stomped down with his hooves. Instantly, the ground shattered, and the entire space of the heaven tree seemed to tremble. Sizzle. Suddenly, in the sky, a bolt of lightning suddenly smashed down, bombarding the body of the strongest demon king. The place where it smashed down was scorched black. Xiaobai held the war god's stick with one hand. The war god's stick, which was like Tai, had traces of lightning energy revolving around it. Xiaopi was gold in color, like a scorching sun hovering in the sky. Standing on Xiaopi's back, Xiao Bai's fighting power seemed to have increased by a lot. The power of the white skin combination wasn't as simple as 1 + 1. Swoosh! The illusionary void seemed to be pierced through. Xiao Bai stepped on Xiaopi, instantly appearing in front of the strongest demon king's true body. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts shot out from Xiao Bai's eyes, causing Xiao Bai to look like a god of lightning at this moment. The war god's stick fiercely waved, and countless lightning bolts bloomed, turning into a heaven-tearing lightning beam that smashed towards the strongest demon king. The strongest demon king's towering mountain-like body was smashed until it staggered unceasingly. His body swayed as though it was about to be smashed to the ground. However, after transforming into his true body, the strongest demon king's skin and flesh were much thicker. Xiao Bai's all-out attack couldn't break the strongest demon king's defense at all. That blood-colored gem was constantly throbbing. The energy it emitted caused the strongest demon king's fighting power to rise sharply. Xiao Bai and Xiaopi's strength couldn't be compared to the strongest demon king. Although the two of them combined could entangle the strongest demon king, it was basically impossible for them to defeat him. Moreover, as the energy from the blood-colored gem continuously surged out of the strongest demon king, the strongest demon king's fighting power would continue to rise. In the end, it would reach an extremely terrifying level. At that time, the white skin combination wouldn't be able to stop this huge black bull. With the 4 pieces of the god of cooking set appearing at the same time, Bu Fong was like a god descending to the mortal world. His gaze was fixed on the big black bull who was crushing the white skin combination. His eyes were fixed on the blood-colored gem on the black yak's body. Within the blood-colored gem, there was a blood-colored light moving. Bu Fong looked at the blood-colored gem, his brows involuntarily furrowing. That gem was the source of the big black bull's energy. Without a doubt, the reason why the strongest demon king could obtain his current strength was definitely related to the blood-colored gem. In Bu Fong's mental perception, he could clearly feel that the blood-colored gem was alive. In other words, that blood-colored gem wasn't an inanimate object. If I want to stop the strongest demon king's strength from continuing to rise, I can only smash that blood-colored gem first. The dragon bone kitchen knife in Bu Fong's hand spun, then gently exhaled. His heart felt something. Boom! In the sky, a cow mooed. Xiao Bai's war god stick smashed onto the big black bull's body, but it was scattered by the impact. The big black bull's horns suddenly rushed up, smashing through the illusionary void, attacking Xiaopi and Xiao Bai's bodies. Xiaopi and Xiao Bai were instantly smashed from the sky, falling far away. And at this moment, Bu Fong's eyes focused, rushing out. Swish! The vermilion robe fluttered. The white tiger heaven stove above his head sent down energy, causing the energy on Bu Fong's body to become sharper and sharper. Grabbing the black turtle constellation walk, he fiercely threw it at the big black bull in the distance. In the air, the black turtle constellation walk kept enlarging. As it flew, it became bigger and bigger. In the end, it turned into a huge walk that could cover the sky. It crushed the illusionary void. Under the support of the 4 tool spirits, Bu Fong's mental energy was about to materialize. This was Bu Fong's strongest power until now. Boom! 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 The black turtle constellation walk was thrown at the big black bull. At the same time, the dragon bone kitchen knife in Bu Fong's hand bloomed with golden light. It was as though a golden divine dragon was spiraling up. The golden light was extremely dazzling. One blade, cutting immortal. Bufong stomped his foot on the ground, causing it to crack. Behind him, the vermilion robe spread out. The flaming wings flapped, and flaming feathers fluttered. Under the support of the flaming wings, Bufong's figure slowly flew up. Tens of thousands of blade energy gathered in the dragon bone kitchen knife in Bufong's hand. However, Bufong's face didn't change at all. Behind Bufong, a huge phantom emerged. That phantom was very similar to Bufong, but its eyes were extremely cold. A blade slashed down, and light shot up to the sky. In Bufong's eyes, the strongest demon king's body, which was like a small mountain, became very clear. Boom! Rumble. The white paper duo instantly shuttled through the illusionary void. Lightning suddenly appeared, winding around their bodies. Then, they turned into a beam of lightning light shooting out. Boom! In the next instant, the white paper duo landed on the strongest demon king's body. Lightning shot up to the sky in Xiao Bai's eyes. The war god's stick stabbed down, stabbing the big black bull's head. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts spread out, covering the strongest demon king's body. At the same time, Bufong's figure also slashed down with his blade. The strongest demon king's bullhorn also charged toward Bufong. The sound of breaking air resounded, and the bull's mooing soared to the sky. In the next instant, tens of thousands of blade light and the bullhorn collided. A loud explosion rang out. Under the strongest demon king's shocked gaze, the bullhorn shattered. Bufong's figure broke through the attack, landing on the strongest demon king's body. Striding forward, he sped away. Shortly after, he landed on the blood-colored gem. The white tiger heaven stove released beams of light. Under the guidance of Bufong's mental force, it smashed onto the blood-colored gem. The strongest demon king's scarlet eyes instantly shrank. He let out a miserable mooing. A white flame lotus spun in Bufong's hand. Bufong gently exhaled, looking at the strongest demon king. In the next instant, his palm pressed down. Just like that, the flame lotus was pressed onto the blood-colored gem. Boom! A terrifying explosion instantly erupted. Energy rippled out. The blood-colored gem shattered, and from within, endless pitch-black nether energy actually burst out. Along with it, there was a sharp whistle. Bufong's face instantly shrank. He was hit by this terrifying attack. His figure instantly flew backward. Then, he landed hard, smashing a deep pit on the ground. Bufong slowly rose to his feet. Hot steam rose from his body. The invincibility of the vermilion robe was actually broken. In Bufong's eyes, the big black yak, who had transformed into his true form, howled miserably. The blood-colored gem shattered, and tens of thousands of light beams shot out. It was as though air was leaking. The big black yak's figure rapidly shrank. His aura became extremely dispirited. That blood-colored gem fell from his body, floating in the air. From within, a flustered and exasperated roar resounded. The strongest demon king fell to the ground, his bull horn shattered. His eyes were filled with disbelief and despair. He was actually defeated by a one-star, true, immortal realm human. This human, is he a freak? How could those immortal tools be so terrifying? It had completely surpassed his three views. After losing the blood-colored gem, the strongest demon king knew that he had lost his chance. It was too late for regrets. He didn't think that this human could actually be so monstrous. If he had known earlier, he would have done as Lu Mabai had said and follow Bufong. Bufong raised his head, his hair fluttering. The vermilion robe also fluttered. The white paper team floated beside Bufong, looking at the blood-colored gem in the sky. Bufong's gaze landed on the strongest demon king, who was on his last breath. He waved his hand. Instantly, a huge suction force exploded. The strongest demon king's body was sucked away. As an enemy, you're slightly inferior. As an ingredient, you're qualified. Bufong said calmly. The strongest demon king, who was struggling at death's door, suddenly stood up, glaring at Bufong. You dare? Why wouldn't I dare? With the black turtle constellation walk in his hand, Bufong smashed it on the strongest Demon King's head, directly knocking him unconscious, smashing the strongest Demon King unconscious. Bufong threw the strongest Demon King into the heaven and earth farmland. After everything was over, he would deal with this ingredient. And at this moment, the most important thing was that blood-colored gem. That gem was extremely strange. Bufong had a feeling that this gem should be related to Lu Mabai and the strongest Demon King secret. All of a sudden, Bufong's eyes shrank. Trash. Simply trash. The plan has failed before it even started. Simply trash. A flustered and exasperated roar rang out. Then, the blood-colored gem suddenly exploded in the air. The space of the heaven tree was instantly torn apart, creating a huge gap. From that gap, a pitch-black, sinister hand fiercely slapped out. Under this huge hand, the illusionary void shattered inch by inch. That huge hand suppressed the illusionary void, directly slapping towards Bufong. Bufong felt as though the air in the entire world had been sucked out. This huge hand could destroy the heavens and earth. Just as that huge hand was about to fall, the illusionary void in front of Bufong suddenly twisted. Then, an enchanting black dog strode across the sky with cat-like steps. An exquisite dog paw rose up. It slapped toward the pitch-black hand in the air. Chapter 1079. He turned his head to look into the distance. Lord Go, who was walking like a cat, focused his eyes. Realm Lord Dit was extremely serious. Although he was usually a clown, once he fought, he was still very powerful. A moment later, Feng Guanzhang's eyes fell on Realm Lord Dit and Menchi. Said Lu Mabai with a grin. Lord Go said, Dark Nether Cooking Realm? Shui Yao's eyes were filled with fear, her body shivering unceasingly. City Lord Mingqi was bewildered. City Lord Mingqi was bewildered. The Realm Lord was the Realm Lord, after all. His cultivation base was much stronger than hers. It was a loud bang. His gaze seemed to have traversed thousands of miles and saw the void that had been torn apart in the distance. A black light beam shot up to the sky, descending from the sky. As soon as that dish appeared, thick nether energy wound around it. It directly patted on the blood-colored gem, completely shattering the crack. A dish shrouded in black energy could actually release such an aroma. Lu Mabai raised the kitchen knife inlaid with the blood-colored gem, absorbing the black lightning. A pitch-black bolt of lightning struck down, and the other 3 thunderclouds were instantly scattered. A terrifying beam of light soared into the sky, blasting a huge hole in the sky. City Lord Meng Qi descended, landing beside the Zhou Lords. Her mind flickered, raising her slender sleeves and pulling the void. Instantly, she tore the void, reaching her hand into it. A moment later, black clouds rolled. City Lord Mingqi said. Each wisp of nether energy around her palm seemed to weigh more than 10,000 pounds. The void seemed to tremble unceasingly under this palm. This caused Shui Yao and the others to be even more shocked. That one is the nether prison expert. However, because of the heavenly pass obstruction of the heaven tree, that fellow couldn't get in. Of course, the most important thing is that as soon as it showed its head, I, Lord Go, smacked it back with my paw. Feng Guanzhang's ferocious explosion was actually heading towards the Heaven Tree Palace. He guided the black lightning and headed straight for the Heaven Tree Palace. That black light enveloped Feng Guanzhang's body. After stuffing the last piece of meat into the Zhou Lord's mouth, he put away the porcelain bowl. But it was obvious. That dog had gone to Bufong's place, so he had to settle this himself. Terrifying nether energy burst forth from the palm. As it descended, the void collapsed from the pressure. Realm Lord Dit's eyes were sharp, his golden hair fluttering in the wind. Then a rich aroma immediately spread out. Chef? Bufong was slightly stunned. The blood-red palm blotted out the sky. The next moment, it opened its mouth and let out a loud bark. The bark sounded like the evening drum and morning bell. A furious roar came from the crack that was filled with nether energy. Their tribulation clouds were actually broken by that lightning punishment. Picking up the chopsticks, City Lord Mengqi shoved pieces of spirit beast meat with immortal energy into the Zhou Lord's mouth, which made the Zhou Lord's breath stagnate. That black walk fell really fast. Before Feng Guanzhong could react, it had already smashed down. He shoved the dish with the black nether energy into his mouth. The void exploded, colluding with the nether prison to kill a Qilin chef. A beast like you deserves to die. Sizzle, sizzle. From the hole, an explosion resounded. A blood-red knife energy slashed out, slashing down. At this moment, the swaying heaven tree was cut in half by the knife energy. Meng Kuan and the others were so frightened. This Lu Mabai was a monster. He wasn't some heaven chief. Apparently, after the battle with Realm Lord did, he was severely injured. At the same time, City Lord Mengqi and the Zhou Lords were a little puzzled. The sound of their battle was very intense, causing the ground to crack and the sky to tremble. That blood-red palm instantly collapsed. Boom! In the next moment, their faces became pale. Feng Guanzhong gritted his teeth, and blood oozed out of his mouth. With a loud explosion, the ground caved in. The stove's pressure shook the sky. Realm Lord Dit threw it out, smashing on the ground. Greed shot out from his eyes. At this moment, he didn't hide his intentions and schemes anymore. Although Feng Guanzhong had swallowed 2 Qilin chefs' hearts, his power still couldn't compare to Realm Lord Dit. Realm Lord Dit's eyes narrowed. That dish seemed to be a delicacy cooked with spirit beast meat. It was overflowing with light, and thick immortal energy twirled around it. Sizzle, sizzle. It was filled with anger and unwillingness. Feng Guanzhong didn't think that he would be beaten like a dead dog. Staggering up from the ground, Feng Guanzhong's entire body was in a sorry state. On his pitch-black skin, fresh blood gushed out. She also raised her gaze, looking into the distance. However, before he could react, Bu Feng was stunned. Realm Lord Dit's golden hair fluttered in the wind. A lightning tribulation that had never been seen before. After Lu Mabai said that, he placed his hand on Meng Kuan's head. Oh, I forgot to mention that the Lord Go had once fought with those nether prison experts. Those fellows seem to be chefs too. These are the kitchen tools that belong to the Realm Lord. A complete set of top-grade immortal tools. Boom, boom. Of course, after suffering once, Realm Lord Dit would definitely not suffer a second time. Boom, rumble. You want the Qilin chef's heart? Why don't you go to the sky? Then, the exquisite dog paw soared into the sky. Bu Feng sucked in a deep breath, looking at the sky. Holding the black wok, he wildly smashed it. It seemed like there was a terrifying existence that wanted to drill out from that crack. I don't have a Qilin chef's heart, but I'll beat you until you call me daddy. What kind of dish was that? Swish, involved in a dispute? What dispute? The Lord Go said. The exquisite dog paw was as terrifying as ever. Meng Kuan's mouth trembled. What kind of dish was that? Immortal tools floated around Realm Lord Dit's body. A loud sound rang out. However, Feng Guanzhong, who was below, had yet to open his mouth. The battle there had reached its climax. Bu Feng kid, looks like you're involved in a dispute. If you want to escape, you have to break the situation. Crazily chewing, with a gulp, he swallowed everything into his stomach. A gigantic black wok smashed down from the sky. The Lord Go glanced at the white tiger heaven stove above Bu Feng's head, slightly arching his brows. However, he didn't ask too much. You guys are very lucky to see the Nether Prison's dark cuisine that I cooked. Originally, I prepared it for Owner Bu, but since it's like this, I'll let you guys try it first. After eating it, refine it well, and your wounds will be healed. This is a dish cooked with the meat of an 8-star beast emperor, so its healing effect should be pretty good. Most importantly, what shocked them was the dish that Lu Mabai had cooked. Opening his mouth, black energy seemed to spurt out. Immortal energy materialization, the skill of a Qilin chef. Bu Feng honestly shook his head. The Lord Go's magnetic voice rang out. The dog paw and the black palm collided. His red eyes stared at Realm Lord Dit. his eyes filled with deep unwillingness. In just a moment, Feng Guanzhong's wounded appearance recovered, and his figure changed again. Smiling faintly, he reached out his hand. With an incomparably terrifying roar and thick nether energy. However, in the next instant, his dog eyes indifferently looked at the void, snorting. There, a huge black hand suddenly slapped down from the torn void. In the distance, Feng Guanzhong had turned into a monster. His skin was black, and his hair was white. His red eyes gave people a sinister feeling. "I must stop him." This time, he wasn't going to let Feng Guanzhong escape. Waiting until the crack disappeared, he turned his head to look at Bufang. Bufang froze. Boom! He turned around, wanting to break through the blood-colored array to escape. In the distance, where the heaven tree was swaying, an earth-shattering explosion occurred. Crushed stones rolled. Lu Mabai slowly walked over. A pitch-black lightning tribulation. How is this possible? They were not unfamiliar with this scene. However, Feng Guanzhong did not choose to explain to them. They had lost this chef's challenge. I've said before, the game of cat and mouse is over. Boom! Lord Go's dog eyes were still indifferent. Feng Guanzhong's eyes shrank. After the demonization, Feng Guanzhong's fighting power had increased a lot. Lord Go's dog mouth twitched as he said. A steaming hot dish appeared on Feng Guanzhong's pitch-black palm. It exploded from the impact. A great battle broke out in an instant. The two of them fought with their bodies, their fists hitting each other. City Lord Mengqi looked at Realm Lord Dit, the corner of her mouth twitching. Why did she feel a little strange? Realm Lord Dit said coldly. A kitchen knife dashed around his body. Lord Go yawned, his dog eyes drowsy as he looked at Bufang. Nether Prison is really vast, and the forces inside are complicated. This time, the ones who want to mess with the Heaven Chief realm should be the people from the Dark Nether Cooking realm. The exquisite dog paw soared into the sky. Instantly, an earth-shaking explosion occurred. There was no dense immortal energy, no dazzling light. It was the first time they saw a dish with black nether energy twirling around it. The crack shook. A moment later, the black thunderclouds descended. Feng Guanzhong, who was on the ground, instantly stopped breathing. Feng Guanzhong dashed towards Realm Lord Dit. Suddenly, after each collision, he was smashed to the ground, causing the ground to shatter and explode. How could the Heaven Chief cook a dish with black energy twirling around it? High-grade Qilin chef. Just one step away. Damn it! Immortal energy twirled around it, showing that this dish's grade was extremely high. Boom! Boom! Realm Lord Dit's eyes shrank. Stepping on the void, he hurried to catch up, turning into a jet of light as he sped away. The black palm was smashed into pieces. Realm Lord Dit was bewildered. This kind of gloominess was deep in his bones. The surrounding void was constantly shattered by the two people's attacks. It seemed like he was enraged. An explosion rang out. Realm Lord Dit narrowed his eyes. Retrieving his immortal tool set, he stared at the ruins below. A layer of ripples spread out, instantly filling the entire space of the Heaven Tree. Almost everyone could feel it. Is the Nether Prison really going to make a move on the Heaven Chief realm? It has already seeped into the space of the Heaven Tree. Realm Lord Dit's figure suddenly disappeared from his spot. The intent of the heart of cooking path in Meng Kuan's body seemed to turn into a substance, pouring into Lu Mabai's body. The blood-colored gem couldn't bear the pressure. It was covered in cracks, and in the end, it shattered. The dish that this black-cloaked man, Lu Mabai, had actually triggered the pitch-black lightning punishment. That time, Realm Lord Dit was careless, and he almost fell into this Feng Guanzhong's trap. That immortal energy condensed, turning into blooming flowers around the dish. From that crack, he took out a bowl of steaming hot dish. However, just as he turned around, he was entangled by the blood-colored array. It turned into blood-colored fragments, scattering on the ground. Moreover, he couldn't bear the price of suffering a loss. Feng Guanzhong was deeply smashed into the ground. The two collided in the void, producing a terrifying explosion and rumbling sound. After all, He was the realm lord of the Heaven Chief realm. That dish is strange. Realm Lord Dit furrowed his brows. Could it be that the plan has begun? It shouldn't be. I haven't gathered the heart of a Chilean chef yet. The dishes in the hands of Shui Yao and the other two exploded. It was as though there was a black lightning bolt striking down from the sky. Shui Yao, Meng Kuan, and Feng Exan looked at the pitch-black lightning in the sky in disbelief. The dispute between the Nether Prison and the Heaven Chief realm. Do you know who wanted to come from the other side? Realm Lord Dit furrowed his brows, feeling a little suspicious. There was only pitch-black nether energy, as well as an aura that made people feel pressured. There was a hint of anger in his eyes. Realm Lord Dit didn't know what Feng Guanzhong wanted to do, but that black lightning gave him a feeling that it wasn't something good. The wind howled, blowing the black fur on Lord Go's body, constantly fluttering. Lord Go appeared with his enchanting cat-like steps. Feng Guanzhong's eyes shrank, as though he was a little suspicious. Realm Lord Dit also showed his true power. These immortal tools were entwined in the tangible immortal energy, emitting a dazzling radiance. Chapter 1080. The massive explosion stunned everyone in the space of the Heaven Tree. Everyone widened their eyes in shock as they looked at the hole in the distant sky. From that hole, monstrous nether energy gushed out unceasingly. The space of the Heaven Tree was smashed, creating a big hole. In every corner of the space of the Heaven Tree, the Heaven Chief, whose heart of cooking path had been absorbed by the black-robed Lumabai, were dumbstruck. Their bodies shivered unceasingly. They felt as though the end of the world had come. Their hearts, which were originally in despair, became even more desperate. They all knelt on the ground. Lumabai loosened his hand. Shui Yao's hair was disheveled, her eyes lifeless as she fell to the ground. Her body was so soft, without any strength. The heart of cooking path that she had painstakingly condensed was absorbed by Lumabai, just like that. To anyone, this was a huge blow. Although they could condense the heart of cooking path again, it would be much more difficult than the first time. Most importantly, they might not be able to reach the third-grade Chilean chef's level in their lifetime. Not far from them, Meng Kuan and Feng Exan also had lifeless eyes, their faces filled with despair. All of them had suffered the same fate. Raising his hand, Lu Mabai's face, which was full of blood-red lines, showed a satisfied look. Taking a deep breath, he felt his heart beating hard. Instantly, the corners of his mouth rose into a smile. Not bad. This feeling is really intoxicating. Lu Mabai slowly opened his eyes, turning his head to look at the big hole in the sky. His eyes slightly narrowed. Instantly, his face showed a look of regret. What a pity. Did I take action first? Then I won't have a chance to enjoy Owner Boo's heart of cooking path. Lu Mabai rubbed his pale white hair, pulling up his hood to cover his head. Then, without looking at Shui Yao and the other two who were in despair, he took big steps, walking towards the big hole. There, a blood-red knife energy emerged, cutting off the Heaven Tree. What's going on? Bufang's eyes narrowed. Looking at the Heaven Tree that had been chopped off, he gasped. The Heaven Tree represented the will of the heavenly path in the Heaven Tree space, yet it had been severed with a single slash. They were going to destroy the entire Heaven Chief realm. It should be the experts of the dark nether cooking realm, Lord Go yawned. Why did they cut down the Heaven Tree? Bufang asked, confused. This is a serious question. Lord Go rolled his eyes. Then he looked at the big hole and said, maybe it's because of the seed of the Heaven Tree. Actually, the Heaven Tree of the Heaven Chief realm has begun to decline. When the Heaven Chief realm was at its peak, it had produced hundreds of Chilean chefs. But now, the entire Heaven Chief realm has only 5 Chilean chefs. Oh, maybe none now. The people of the dark nether cooking realm must have taken a fancy to the seed of the Heaven Tree. If they can take the seed of the Heaven Tree and plant it in Nether Prison, the people of the dark nether cooking realm should be able to cultivate many powerful Chilean chefs. The seed of the heaven tree. Bu Fong was a little bewildered. Then, he remembered the temporary task that the system had given him. It wanted him to enter the space of the heaven tree to get the seed of the heaven tree. And now, this task seemed to be the goal of the dark nether cooking realm. He knew that the task that the system had given him couldn't be that simple. Let's go and see. We can't let the seed of the heaven tree fall into the hands of those nether prison people. Otherwise, the entire heaven chief realm will be plunged into misery and suffering. People will have no way to live, Lord Go said. Then, he twisted his waist and walked toward the place where the heaven tree was cut off. Bu Fong didn't say anything. Even if it was just to watch the fun, he had to go. Moreover, his goal was to get the seed of the heaven tree. Buzz the void rippled. Xiaopi, whose entire body looked like it was made of gold, appeared. This little fellow had been sleeping in the heaven and earth farmland for a long time, and his strength had improved a lot. Xiaobai had restored his normal appearance, standing on Xiaopi's back. Bu Fong took a step forward, landing on Xiaopi's back. Xiaopi's straight, compound eyes rolled. A moment later, the void around him seemed to ripple. Then, he turned into a jet of golden light, shooting into the distance. Lord Go looked at the jet of golden light that swept past him, slightly bewildered. Xiaopi's extreme speed had startled him a little. After overtaking Lord Go, Xiaopi turned his head, squeaking, as if he was a little proud. The dog's mouth twitched. Lord Go twisted his butt, striding with his cat-like steps. A moment later, he caught up with Xiaopi and surpassed him. You want to race with Lord Go? Really naughty. Lord Go strode with his cat-like steps, snorting. Explosions rumbled, echoing in the entire space of the heaven tree. Realm Lord Dit, City Lord Mingqi, and the Zhou lords were dumbfounded, looking at the giant, towering heaven tree, which had been cut in half by the blood-red blade energy. The three of them couldn't help but shiver. No matter how frivolous Realm Lord Ditai was, at this moment his body shivered. It all happened too suddenly. He suddenly realized that he wasn't prepared at all, or rather, he didn't even have time to react. He saw a giant hole in the space of the heaven tree. Suddenly, a jet of blade energy slashed down from the hole. With just one blade, the heaven tree was cut into two halves. The palace of the heaven tree under the heaven tree collapsed. Feng Guanzhong did this. Realm Lord Dit's voice rose an octave. He was incomparably shocked, dumbstruck. City Lord Mengqi and the Zhou lords shook their heads. They didn't know. They didn't know either. Right now, they were also very confused. Rumble. A loud explosion reverberated. The heaven tree fell to the ground. Its branches and leaves shook, making rustling sounds. It was as if the heaven tree was silently whimpering. Realm Lord Dit suddenly came back to his senses. Without hesitation, he burst out with his maximum speed, dashing toward the heaven tree. In the ruins of the palace, Feng Guanzhong was facing his face and laughing. His scarlet eyes were filled with excitement. Feng Guanzhong, you traitor! Do you know what you're doing? Realm Lord Dit was so angry that his hair was about to stand up. The illusionary void constantly shattered. His figure appeared in front of Feng Guanzhong in a blink of an eye. Raising the black wok, he fiercely smashed it, forcefully hitting Feng Guanzhong's head. Instantly, Feng Guanzhong was like a kite with a broken string. He was smashed away, falling far away. However, Feng Guanzhong crawled up from the ground, his face still filled with excitement. It's useless. My time is about to come. Feng Guanzhong spread his arms, laughing. The heaven tree has already started to decline. It can't train any Qilin chefs anymore. If it falls behind, it will be eliminated. The heaven tree should have been eliminated long ago. Feng Guanzhong's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Realm Lord Dit, roaring. In the sky, the huge hole rumbled, as if there were black thunderclouds rolling. Black lightning streaked across the illusionary void. Eliminated or not, it's none of your business. Realm Lord Dit's anger surged. Taking a step, he appeared in front of Feng Guanzhong. A fist smashed out. Feng Guanzhong raised his hands to block. However, Realm Lord Dit's fist broke both of his arms, smashing them into the ground. However, This fist was not satisfying enough. Realm Lord Dit's fist condensed true energy, and the illusionary void seemed to be faintly collapsing. Fist after fist smashed down. Instantly, the ground unceasingly cracked. Feng Guanzhong was smashed like a dead dog, vomiting blood. In the next instant, Realm Lord Dit did not hesitate. With a step, he rushed out, walking towards the center where the heaven tree was cut. There was a dazzling golden light that rushed to the sky. See, Realm Lord Dit's eyes had a solemn look. Although the heaven tree was cut, as long as the heaven tree seed was preserved, the heaven chief realm could once again cultivate the towering heaven tree. The heaven tree was the heaven chief realm's belief and a manifestation of the will of the great path. Realm Lord Dit found it hard to imagine what the heaven chief realm would become without the heaven tree. However, just as Realm Lord Dit landed around the ruins of the heaven tree, looking at the 3 heaven tree seeds that floated out of the heaven tree, his breathing became heavy. However, just as Realm Lord Dit was about to reach out his hand to grab those seeds, a pitch-black bolt of lightning suddenly shot down from the sky. A loud explosion. The sky seemed like it was about to be torn apart. Realm Lord Dit was shocked. He felt a strong sense of danger. Then, his figure moved, appearing in the distance. At his original position, the black lightning scattered. A figure appeared. That figure was wrapped in a long black robe. On the robe, there was a blood-colored skull pattern, and on the arm, there was a chef symbol. He slowly straightened his body, and his grayish-white hair fluttered in the wind. There wasn't the slightest expression on his ice-cold face as his indifferent gaze swept over the celestial tree seed. Ripples appeared in his eyes that were as calm as an ancient well. Sacred grade, immortal ingredient? That person said indifferently. A moment later, he reached out his hand, intending to grab the 3 seeds of the heaven tree. However, before he could reach out his hand, Realm Lord Dit appeared in front of him. Boom! Realm Lord Dit punched out. The void seemed to be on the verge of collapsing, but this fist was caught by that person with a single hand. The declining Heaven Chief realm actually has a high-grade Qilin chef. That person looked at Realm Lord Dit, his eyes slightly serious. The smell of the high-grade Qilin chef's heart on your body really makes people drool. His eyes rolled, falling on Realm Lord Dit's face, his face expressionless. Drool? If you have the guts, bite me. Realm Lord Dit bellowed. His fist spun, and his foot aimed at that person's head. Wherever his foot passed, the void shattered. With a thud, that person raised his hand without batting an eyelid, blocking Realm Lord Dit's foot. Not bad. You've actually reached the half-step sacred realm. In the Heaven Chief realm, you're qualified to be the Lord. That person said indifferently. Boom! A loud explosion rang out. The 2 of them retreated, landing in the distance. I'm the Realm Lord of the Heaven Chief realm. You tell me, can I be the Lord? Realm Lord Dit's face was solemn. That person straightened his body, the corners of his mouth twitching. In the distance, Feng Guanzhong crawled up from the ruins, his eyes filled with desire. Sir, I've completed the task. Please fulfill your promise. That person slightly turned his head, looking at Feng Guanzhong, who was in a mess. Very good. The Dark Nether Cooking Realm thanks you for your efforts. The future leader of the Heaven Chief Realm is you. That person said casually. Feng Guanzhong was incomparably excited. Boom, boom, boom. Black lightning boomed unceasingly. A moment later, the black lightning dispersed. 2 figures instantly appeared by the black-cloaked person. Another 2 figures wrapped in black robes appeared. On their shoulders, there was also a chef symbol. As soon as the 2 of them appeared, the terrifying pressure made Realm Lord Dit suck in a breath of cold air. The cultivation base of these 3 people was not weaker than Realm Lord Dit. However, the 3 of them did not look at Realm Lord Dit. Instead, their gazes shifted, falling on the void in the distance. There was a streak of golden light speeding over from that direction, and an enchanting black dog was walking like a cat. The three of them ignored the golden light, but the appearance of the black dog caused their pupils to shrink. They exchanged a look with each other as shock surfaced on their faces. That's that dog from Earth Prison. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.